just have reasons for why I keep my mouth shut. You calling treason just cause I'm bleeding. It's time I show you how it feels. Ooh, I'll take my pain to the grave, you won't break me down. Firm in your faith, lead the way. We're not okay till we get our way. To the grave, till the sun goes down. Firm in your faith, lead the way. Let's run away, we can fight in my I just have reasons for why I keep my mouth shut. You calling treason just cause I'm bleeding. It's time I show you how it feels. Ooh, I'll take my pain to the grave, you won't break me down. Firm in your faith, lead the way. We're not okay till we get our way. To the grave, till the sun goes down. Firm in your faith, lead the way. Let's run away, we can fight in my They try to bury me alive.
It's Smite when 5 die! It's a deicide! And the Food Fighters have killed 5!
Nothing can be done to stop Eternal Vanguard!
D5 puts them down for the deicide! And the sewer get flushed away! Food Fighters, they put the diamonds in the bag! The Scepter of Dominion! Everyone freeze! A quadra kill! He's gone! Who's up next on the chopping block? Is it? Yeah! It's a quadra kill!
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Olympus Smite League Season 9. My name is Moon Melos. I'm joined here by Amorty, and our amazing producer today is the Nova Shark. Mort, we got Boo House versus Eternal Vanguard. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. It's our very first week of Season 9 of OSL, and it was nice. We got to watch the Golden Apple together, Moon. That was a great time, but now we get to see what's going on in the Athens division, right? This is the tippity top of the totem pole. Some names you might recognize from Smite Prime and elsewhere are going to be competing here with some money on the line, too, but we got more to talk about as well.
And let's talk about what we're going to be looking at in this set. Vault bands, baby. You've been around for a minute, you recognize these, but good chance to go ahead and explain them around. Once a god is played, that god is going to be locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set.
And this changes up our picks and ban strategy a little bit. Do I want to save my best god for game 2, maybe for a redemption arc, or do I want to use it game 1 and then rely on what's left of the god puddle later on? You know, it definitely changes up how things go when we introduce this vault ban system, and it makes picks and bans just that much more exciting. You know what I mean? I think, you know, nobody wants to see the same god ran for 3 games back to back to back. We want to see a little variety. Variety is the spice of life overall. You feel me?
I certainly do. Going to be exciting here as we see some variety in these teams. And one thing I do want to bring up to bat for you, Mort, is the biggest, not question mark, but exciting thing for me going into this match. As a support player myself, I like them walking around. We have a Happen in the mid lane. That guy is a baller support player, but now he's piloting himself in the mid lane. Excited to see how he holds himself here.
And, you know, I think if I were to want to see Happen go any other lane, I feel like mid lane kind of makes sense because support, you know, you're looking to set up and peel for your team, or maybe start fights your own way. What do? You hit abilities. Now, as a mid laner, kind of the same thing. You know, you want to deal damage in a team fight. What do? Hit abilities. So we all know that Happen can hit abilities. I think he's going to fit into the mid lane slot just fine, along with the rest of the team that he's very, very comfortable with. Remy K, who's one of the premier solo laners in Prime. We see him all the time with Single Bind, Donut Doug's team. And he's a very awesome solo laner to have around, good with comms as well. And Tegvir, who has been playing with Happen for quite some time. Since SPL days, Tegvir and Happen have been together like this through thick and thin, and then together through the Founders Series as well. They played on Food Drive for Globe, and now they're here playing together in OSL. So this is a very strong, you know, 2 peas in a pod situation. I really expect Eternal Vanguard to have the upper hand when it comes to chemistry alone, but there's a lot more aside from chemistry that needs to work together, including the rest of the team having chemistry. You know, Void Pain and Axiom. These are names that maybe Happen and Tegvir might not know as well. But then we look at the side of Boo House. We got Slayer, Mario Bro. They've played together a time or two for Prime. Stewie, who's been around the block for a minute. And Snatty, who is, let's be honest, the solo laner. You know what I mean? The solo lane guy. So I'm excited to see how things go when we get into picks and bans.
Content Team 6, that's what Eternal Vanguard is against. Boo House, Snatty, Stewie, Slayer, piloting like the Twitter domain, and like Kuradal and Mario Bros specifically. This is also a team with a bunch of big names, right? Mario Bro, I was just in a stream last night. Bro was playing at like 3 a.m. Like, this guy is locked in, and ready to run it down as we get ready to march into picks and bans here. And we've had a minute to kind of settle from the storm that was the recent penetration patch, and now we've kind of relaxed. There's been a couple hot fixes. Mages a little bit undertuned, but still pretty good, and tanks certainly on their way to feeling quite strong. What kind of picks do you expect to be seeing here?
Well, a lot of the one-shot gods have been taken away. Bastet is definitely the example of that. Somebody who can just wipe away a health bar with the right build. So Bastet getting taken off the table sounds about right. Giannis is another ban I expect to see who kind of does the same thing. Hits you with like 1 or 2 abilities and then you're just dead. Hashtag flatpin. It's in the game now if you didn't know. Horus is a very good ban too. Somebody who looks very good. Horus doesn't have the most excellent win rate across all game modes and everything, but Horus definitely put in the right hands can look like a menacing support. Just build some cooldown, build some mana, spam your abilities, and set up the fights correctly. And Horus is just one of those game-winning gods. Sobek as well too, taken away. Void Pain might not have plans to be playing that, so let's just get it off the table. Don't want to deal with it. And then Kronos, who's been banned away as well.
Kronos taken off the board. You don't see him there. He's just, you know, not in time to get the picture up on the board. But hey, he's not going to be seeing this game at all, so it doesn't matter too much. Aladdin, also another god that just kind of explodes your health bar. Loves building those items, loves just running it around. And if it's Stewie and Tegvir, honestly, a little surprised that Tegvir's banning that away. But who knows? I mean, we saw it in Prime yesterday. Tegvir pulled out like a Sasano and went like 20-0 in the semifinals. It was delirious.
Yeah, Tegvir definitely has a couple picks up his sleeve sometime. A lot of people, you know, we mainly see Tegvir use Susano and Achilles. One of those two, right? When it comes to jungle specifically. But every now and then you'll see something new from Tegvir and you're like, huh, I didn't know he had it in the bag. But that also comes from time where I'm sure you've seen Tegvir in the past played carry quite a bit during the Founders Series, and even recently in Prime, this hostile takeover team moving around a little bit, and Tegvir going to carry for a little bit. So he's got quite a bit of gods in the god pool. But enough about the potential picks. Let's talk about the official lock-ins. Jormungandr is going to be the very first one, and I really like this one going to Remy K because he's going to have to neutralize this lane, right? If you let Snatty do what he wants to do, he's going to snowball out of that lane with whatever pick he wants to go with. It could be the Osiris, it could be a number of other ones, maybe the Ratatosker solo with Aspect. That's been a pretty bit popular too. Whatever pick that Snatty wants to go for, he's going to steamroll out of lane with if you let him. Jormungandr is one of those few gods that can neutralize a lane, right? I have no issue farming. I can stay up and do what I need to do, but if things get hairy, the jungler ganks, I want to hop into my ult and go back past my tier 1. There's no way you'll catch me. So really nice, solid pick for solo lane for Remakami. But Afro and Uller going to be the response for Boo House.
Very terrifying duo lane here, right? Mario Bro has an Uller in the pocket, likes to run it down, and when these axes are hitting home, a lot of damage is just going to be on the dome of somebody. And I am expecting this Afro to go for Kuradal over in that support lane, but also it does still possibly have that flex potential to mid.
It does, and that makes me wonder because I haven't seen a lot of Slayer recently. I really haven't. I feel like I saw Slayer quite a bit during earlier Prime days, then he took a step back. He didn't have the team to work with, so he's been kind of doing his own thing. He's been kind of off screen on an arc. You know what I mean? I haven't seen what gods he's got in the bag, but Uller is definitely a pretty prominent mid laner. I would think that, you'd probably want a carry that offers more DPS wise, considering you need to burn away objectives. You need to make sure that, hey, if we get a quadra kill or a deicide, we can go to FG and burn it fast. We don't want to wait for 50-second death timers at 30 minutes into the game, go grab an objective. You want to rip it sooner than earlier. But a god who can make up for that objective burn, I really like this response from Boo House, is Merlin, who doesn't have objective secure like a lot of other mid laners. Kakol can have Spear of the Nine Winds, Vulcan's got the Earth Shaker, Scylla's got I'm a Monster. Merlin doesn't have a big secure tool, but Merlin's burn on objectives is really nice. Very complimentary to the Boo House team comp.
Eternal Vanguard, though, on the back end side of it, Tegvir, we mentioned him going 20-0 on it. He said might as well try to go it again. Sasano and Cerberus locked in here for them, and that's a big one, too. You talked about Jormungandr being this neutralizing lane opponent. Cerberus is a guy who's going to breathe on you, reduce your prots, stun you, and if you don't have beads, probably pick you up and put you right beside his teammate where they can kill you easier. And an Aqua Hover scares me a little bit with how much damage this Eternal Vanguard comp might be having come into fruition.
A lot of damage and a lot of crowd control from Eternal Vanguard. Like you said, the Serbolt is very nice for setup. You've got very good damage from Apwash. Same thing from Tegvir Susano. On her is going to look really good on this comp too, because while the rest of the team is deep diving, Serb is not really a peeling god per se. He's more of a setup god. So in case things get hairy, if Axiom gets dove on by Loki or Uller, then he's got crowd control immunity within his ultimate. He's got an up down through Disperse. He has the peel tools from Impale. There's so much to love about Honor's kit that makes him a self-reliant carry. This is exactly the god that I would want Axiom to be picking with the rest of the team comp that's going to kind of ignore Axiom. You know what I mean? We're not worried about playing around you and making sure you do your thing. You're just kind of like a cherry on top. You know what I mean? That's what On Her provides to this comp. But on the other hand, Daji getting through, not only through the bans list, but the very last pick for Boo House. Wait, so that's Loki solo. Oh,
Snatty gonna have a time for himself here on the Trickster God. Loki with that aspect, I hope, going into the solo lane, and Stewie piloting this Daji. A lot of dive potential for this Boo House comp. And listen, if you got people diving, you got an Aphrodite attached to at least one of your carries. So Boo House's idea so far, for me, it looks like we're gonna run at you and hope you survive, or hope you don't survive, rather.
Yeah, there is a lot of run at you. And I like the Afro pick because while it doesn't provide very good engage, it provides a good, oh, they're running at us, we need a response. Like, let's say they throw an obstacle in our way as we're running towards you. That's what the Afro ult's for. That's what back off. It could be good for Tegvir or just the ult in general for any part of damage that Eevee or Boo House are offering. I think Boo House got a pretty good response.
Boo House have the response, but who will be able to win at game number 1? Eternal Vanguard versus the Boo House. Everyone, give it up for your first broadcasted game of the Season 9 Athens Division. My name is Moon Mellows. I'm joined here by the Morty Man, and our eyes in the sky piloting that camera oh so well is the Nova Shark. Eyes around, Morty, what do you see?
Taking a look at relics, not a single set of purification beads on the side of Boo House. They are not worried about the crowd control that can be offered. It is all about the damage. And Happen's going to be putting a lot of damage out through the Sopwash pick. Same thing with Tegvir on the Susano. A lot of damage going to be offered, so Aegis will negate that, along with the Phantom Shells for Snatty and Corridal. Looking at starters over there too, Sands of Time is a pretty nice pickup. I feel like a lot of people have been gravitating towards the Conduit gem, but there's a couple gods that like to just put out abilities just all the time as much as possible, Merlin being one of those. So the more cooldown, the more mana you have to work with, the easier it is to do your job, which is just shove out abilities as much as your cooldowns will let you. So a lot to love about Slayer's early pickup through the starters. Boomba's Cudgel picked up for Mario Bro, which is kind of an inconsistent starter, but it makes sense for Uller specifically because he's going to be firing through ability basic, ability basic, ability basic. He's going to be proccing that Boomba's Cudgel passive as much as possible.
Pause comes on through, but it just gives us more time to really marinate in these builds, these ideas that these players are going for. And the Boomba's Cudgel you brought up is a very good point. I used to be a firm believer of like, oh, Uller, he has like a dozen abilities, but so Bluestone, right? And I went to Doug and I was like, come on, what's up with this? But obviously not. People seem to prefer this Cudgel.
On the other side, looking at relics for Eternal Vanguard, they're a lot less worried about the damage, but more so the crowd control, which to me, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of crowd control aside from Snatty's ult. Oh, impale into the wall.
Aegis and gonna be fine. Mario Bro under the tower, and not too much is gonna come out of it. He's an Aphrodite, so we'd be able to heal back up a little bit. So A-okay for now, but a nice double stun again.
Yeah, very, very good accuracy on the paralyzing spit from Void Pain. He knows this god well, and any premier support player has to have the Serb in bag. Snatty's doing a lot of damage onto Remikami too, and that's what Loki can bring you, man. It's that backstab potential from the very get-go. You don't need to get items online to feel that extra damage. All it takes is just Remikami turning his back to you. It's just so much damage that can be offered in lane. A lot of people just seem to forget about it.
It's so much damage is coming out in the solo lane. Remikami has to be careful because Snatty's running him down, gets him up for first blood. So Boo House get the first kill for Season 9 of Athens. They're feeling pretty good about it, but Happen, you got to bleed on you, buddy. Eat the body, not enough. Stewie picks up another.
And I feel like there could have been a world where he's able to walk up to a corpse and heal that off, but didn't have the quick time response to make that happen. Get it? Happen. So it's just it's a lack of practice. You know what I mean? Happen is very much so used to playing support everywhere he goes, not just on his main team for Smite Prime, but also the teams that he's helped out with for the EU Conquest tournaments and such. He's been moving around and always playing a tank wherever he goes. Him moving to the Opwash puts him in a bit of a weird spot where I know how to hit abilities. It's just, what else can I do with them? I don't ever play Opwash. I'm a support player, you know?
Their paralyzing spit, and the impale's going to be good. And yeah, he's a support player who will be ran at a lot this game. Opwa does not have any of those like movement abilities to get out of dodge. So what you saw from Stewie, you're probably going to be seeing a lot often more.
Junglers showing up to the right side of the map because they want to push the wave out and then move up to Firebrands, which have just now spawned. Boo House will have the man advantage walking over there first. Neither mid laner has started the rotation. Scratch that, Slayer's on the way, but hanging out by the neutral camp instead. It'll be a 2-on-2, but Eternal Vanguard's jungle and solo are a tad bit too late.
Yeah, Boo House going to get those rocks pretty without too much contention from Eternal Vanguard. So again, really pushing this lead for themselves nice and ahead here. 2 kills up 3 minutes into this game. Couple of rocks. That scary potentials for the start of a snowball.
Slayer seems to be moving around the map just fine. He's clearing wave and then walking away. That's what you want to do as a mid laner, right? Especially somebody with high mobility like Slayer. You've got the flicker online and can move around the map a little bit easier than other mid laners might be used to. So we're seeing very low health bars over in solo again, too. Remikami just saw this Loki pick and was like, I think I can handle it. I play Loki all the time. I know what this guy does. Remikami's kind of getting worked right now. Snatty's making this lane pretty rough, and That's what the Loki does, man. Loki aspect is just this guy that doesn't really let you breathe. You know, you don't get downtime because the clones will hit you from so far away. Gank up in left side of the map, Stewie showing up, but does have an ult ready to go. The Eternal Vanguard had vision and saw it coming from a mile away, backed up, and Stewie will have to go back to farming.
Playing it smart, playing a little bit slow here. Eternal Vanguard, a little bit behind, and obviously we have Void Pain piloting up in the support role this time, so they're dueling, not feeling like their usual selves, but getting aggressed upon is Axiom Speed, has to disperse over, Beads forced on out, but look at Tegbeer on the wraparound, pulls two back in, here comes the Typhoon, can we knock them up? The Undying Love a little bit too late, and Kuradol has been spotted on out, Void Pain picks that one up, so Eternal Vanguard answer in the duo lane.
Tegbeer did a very nice job waiting out Beads at the right moment. Exact, like, frame perfect moment for Beads to wear off so the knockup can land through Typhoon, and then the rest of EV were able to just collapse from there. So very good response time from Tegbeer. This is a player that knows the god that he's playing very, very well. This is his #1 most played god in competitive scenarios, and you could tell just from little things like that. And that also leads a lot of people to question about the leather cowl. This is something that Tegbeer does quite a bit on Susano. You get extra movement speed, and that moves you back and forth through camps. You're able to hit all points of the map and also chase down enemies that might be running from you with that extra movement speed. And then when you got friends around, if you're going for a gank, now you've got attack speed. That's more damage output. So it's the stats that you want when you need them. You know what I mean?
Very nice. Kind of the original adaptive stat item here, right? Just being around your friends,
Right.
able to speed run around. But look at Stewie adapting to the game here, making another rotation to the duo lane. But the wards are even better from Eternal Vanguard. He steps up, gets spotted out, and can't do much about it.
I do want to put a compliment towards Void Pain. He's been warding a lot, and it has been very, very nice knowing, like, hey, I don't have to worry about, do I know where Stewie is? These wards will make sure that if Stewie's on the way, we'll know pretty early on. We'll have the reaction time. Tegbeer showing up to the left side of the map.
Kuradol has to be careful. Undying Love forced on out, but the rest of the team is still on the way. Stingy and Torment puts an Aphrodite right in between the rest of the members. Tegbeer picks up a Kuradol. Boo House gets some rocks, but 3 members in the left side. A Gold Fury might be in their future.
Tegbeer wants to stay around. It's not just about the kill. It's about what we get afterwards. Can we grab another kill? Can we grab that purple buff? What else on the map can we take? Surely Gold Fury is a little bit too ambitious, but there's other things that we can grab after finding that kill. That purple buff will settle nicely. Tegbeer's pockets are nice and full for now, and we'll go back at a later point, moving through the Gold Fury pit, but just keeping our eyes on it. We're not going to be going for any burns anytime soon. Our bigger focus, Moon, is here in the mid lane, this ritual site that spawns in about 15 seconds. Let's get some early pushers out the door so we can move across to other lanes a little bit easier and get some gold and XP while we're there. Ritual site seems to be the move, but we're backing off, waiting on Happen to grab his red buff, and then we go back over. But Happen doesn't have a lot of mana. He has to go back to base. Now Boo House have the man advantage.
Time to play King of the Hill in the middle lane. Boo House back up a little bit in Void Pain, making sure to at least have a couple tootsies on top of that. Slayer goes in with a couple of burns, pushes some people away, but it's time for the Tango of the Rocks. A lot of them going towards Boo House, but the rest of the people are on the way. Remikami in the background knocks someone up. And, well, you know what? They're out of here at this time. Eternal Vanguard to push them up. A stun. Stingy and Torment forces out the Undying Love, and the crypts have been emptied. So Eternal Vanguard, this beacon's theirs.
That's a good response. I really like that that ult from Kuradol there, because Slayer doesn't have crowd control immunity, right? Whoever gets hit by Void Pain's Stygian Torment, that's just over from there. But really the only response that Boo House has is Afro's ult. So very well used. I like saving it for a picture perfect moment like that, just to make sure that the ritual site goes, you know, you thought it would go your way. You gave it your best shot, but EV had the man advantage thanks to Remikami moving over from solo lane. Surprised that Snatty didn't follow him. Snatty's got a good lead. You could afford to lose a little bit of farm, and Ritual Sight would give you some extra XP getting back into lane 2. You've already got a level lead.
A level lead and getting even more aggressive here in the solo lane, but Remikami got a defense, or a health item rather, on the line, so feeling a bit more confident about stepping up to this scary Loki. So not taking as much damage as he did in that early game, seems to have slowly evened out here in the solo.
It's a weird back and forth that we'll see from solo lane. Remikami had some early issues from Snatty, but now that itemization's starting to appear online, a good amount of health for MEK will make sure that he's able to take more damage from Snatty. And Snatty does have a good damage option too. That Runeforged Hammer is very popular with Loki's early on. And it does offer quite a bit as far as early aggression. You know, every time you hit somebody with hard crowd control, you do extra damage based on your protections. And while we don't have a lot of protections online for Snatty's build just yet, you can be sure and keep your eyes on there. You will see more prots later on because your ult now scales behind you, scales off of health and protections rather than the percentage increase from strength and everything else. So building tank actually offers more damage.
Tegvir's in the solo lane running after a Snatty, trying to get the kill, but he has the assassinate to get out. But look at that World Serpent on the wraparound. It's father meets son at time, and Snatty is trying his best to wrap around and survive. That's one speedy Loki, though. Tegvir's on the chase. Has he got the kill? Yes, he does. Snatty falls on down. And in the mid lane, looks like we're going for yet another kerfuffle. Happen is pushed down on low, but Void Pain is here and breathing on Slayer. Make sure his support gets out that time, and Void Pain picks up a Slayer.
I love support players that do that. I'm not just going to walk around and try and body block. I've got basic attacks, and it might just be 30 or 35, whatever, but you keep biting, you're going to keep dealing damage, and that's exactly what Void Pain did the whole time. We're looking at happen, and while I'm waiting for my cooldowns, I'm going to keep biting you. Next thing you know, your health bar is so low, it's one ability that will take you out, and it just got off cooldown. And because I've been hitting you with so many basics, now you're going to die from it. So very well played by Void Pain. He is looking very good in this matchup so far. And early Chandra's Grace will give him a lot of CDR to work with. So those basic attacks will only have to hold you over for so long while we're waiting for abilities to come off of rotation. Extra 20 CDR along with some health and plating is really nice, especially here on the Conquest map where the Moonlight Phase will grant even more. But we're seeing a gank over here in solo lane. Tegvir showing up to grab the runic, the totem, and then we'll walk away.
Gets the totem, gets some gold, and 11 and a half minutes in, Eternal Vanguard flip the switch a little bit on this game. Up 2 kills as opposed to Boohouse's, well, 2, so they have a total of 4 in Void Pain. It's gone upon here, but thankfully that little doggy has a jump to get back to his tier 1 tower. Boohouse trying to answer back this lead Eternal Vanguard has pulled from themselves, and they're going to do that by picking up the Gold Fury.
Very nice. I like this burn, but I think Void Pain is onto something. His 3 heads are sniffing out something, and it's that Gold Fury getting burned. It's down to 2K.
Burning down pretty fast. Can he steal it away? No, he can't. Mario Bros secures that one every day of the week. So Boohouse get the first big objective up on the map. And now they have even out the float a little bit. Eternal Vanguard still ahead in gold slightly, but what can they get out of here? Axiom Speed jumps on in, Impale into the wall, but Mario Bro is fine because he has a leap of his own on out of there.
So Mario Bro and Axiom both going for an early start when it comes to damage. If you look at itemization, Rip Talon and Tearfing for Axiom means that I want to get online as quickly as possible. I want to start dealing damage. I'm not looking to wait for Devo stacks or Transcendent stacks. I just want to get online and rip people's heads off. And the damage from Impale alone, not to mention the basics that follow, Mario Bro has to be very careful, but Axiom's got to be even more careful. Look at Stewie on the rotation.
Stewie on the wraparound. He's been spotted, but can you run away fast enough? We have to disperse, so we're safe for now, and Stewie just has to walk back home with all nine of his tails between his legs.
You have to wait out the jump, Stewie. You cannot be too crazy when it comes to as soon as you see Axiom, oh, I'm going to dash on top of him, because then he's going to dash away, and you've got no chase tool. You need to save your gap closer for his gap closer, then you'll be right on top of him.
There's 4 of Eternal Vanguard over here in the duo lane. Forces out the Powwow, trying to pull Tegvir back on in. He's stunned. He has the jet stream to get back on out. But look at the stun. Tegvir picks up a Mario Bro. Remikami falls down in the solo lane, though. So bit of cross-map pressure, but Stewie still being aggressed upon by the rest of the team. Void Pain, the bloodhound he is, trying to sniff out this cat who's just trying to clear the wave the best that she can. But Stewie falls down all the same.
Well, it's hard to tell who that really favors, because while Eternal Vanguard had a lot of people over here on the left side to get 2 kills for Stewie and Mario Bro, not only does Remikami fall in solo lane, but also a round of Firebrands for Boohouse. So is 2 kills worth more than a kill in Firebrands? Maybe in the early game, not so much, but I think the extra gold later on could be a little bit more beneficial. It's kind of hard to tell, right? Adaptive stats are nice and they do stack okay, but getting picked out here, Xavier has to be careful.
Xavier has been spotted out, but Sasano, that's one slippery assassin able to get out of there for free, and we just don't have enough lockdown to keep him down. But Happen, that guy doesn't got 2 dashes. Let's look on at him. Shell Rebuke forced on out, but look at Stewie running at him under the tower, picks up a mid laner, but in the back line, Void Pain is going for a little bit more. Tegvir stunned on out, but now Kuradal's going to pay for it with their life, trying to save their mid laner. Did do it, but paid for it.
Unfortunate circumstance for Happen, who just got chased down under the tower. And at this point of the game, tower shots do hurt, but it's not going to keep you from diving. You know what I mean? If you've got an easy in and out, junglers do not care about towers. I would rather hang out under the Apuashal than a tower. And in my opinion, that's just how I stand there.
Well, Snatty's going to be pulled out of the safety of his own towers. Tegvir chases him down the best that he can. Fortunately, though, Snatty pretty speedy on this Trickster Spirit. Axiom speed, though, being ran at by a Mario Bro. That arrow, well, not quite enough damage, and Mario Bro's looking for the last hit here. A good impale keeps him alive for a little bit longer, throws up the pillar, and now this Uller is in a bad spot because Happen has made the wrap around. Now, time to see what you got, buddy. The mid laner forces out the Crypts, but Mario Bro has to jump on out of it. He's stuck in between the tier 1 and tier 2 tower. He's trying to run to the jungle. That fleeting breath hits him, but Mario Bro's still alive, missing a lot of these abilities, but look at Axiom speed wrapping back around. He made it back to base and is going to find a Mario Bro, jumps on him, puts him into the wall, hits a couple autos, takes him out.
But the whole time, the Queen Naga is getting burned down, and I can't even tell who it went to. We couldn't keep eyes on it because everything happening at solo side, and it went to Boo House. So a very worthwhile distraction. Mario Bro kept both Tegvir and Axiom busy for about a minute and a half, maybe even 2 minutes. And in that point, the rest of Boo House went straight for Queen Naga, and the rest of EV responded too, but 4-on-3, that favors Boo House. They walk away with the Queen Naga. That is a permanent strength and intelligence boost for the rest of the game.
He's aggressing in mid lane again, forces the beat out to Happen, and his life. That Apuah is all but a distant memory as Boo House step up to this beacon and start taking it for themselves.
Meanwhile, Pyromancer getting started by Stewie. Snatty rotates over as well, so we can burn this thing down pretty quickly. Void Pain is the only one around in mid lane. Tegvir just showed up, but the damage from Slayer is nasty.
Oh, Stingy and Torps puts him under the tower, and Typhoon makes his life a forfeit. Tegvir picks up a Merlin, but Boo House do get themselves the ritual, and I'm pretty sure got themselves a Pyromancer.
Runic Bomb in pocket for Snatty. I mean, you've got an okay time pushing. Loki does decent damage to towers, but now we could do even more. A Runic Bomb, if whether we want to go for a tower, maybe we want to save it for a tier 2 later on, or a bird way later on, depending on how long you want to hold on to that thing. It's not going anywhere. You're not waiting on a duration like the Obsidian Dagger or other stuff like that. You can keep that for the next 50 minutes if you want to. God, let's hope the game doesn't last that long. But you know what I mean? It's something that doesn't go away. So we could save that for sieges, whatever else. Let's check in on itemization here. World Stone being used by Happen. I think that's a very nice item for Apuash specifically. His ult is a really big part of his kit. That is kind of like a no-fly zone for anybody on Boo House. Don't stand right here or your health bar will disappear. So that's a pretty nice cooldown that could be applied. It says 10 seconds. I'm sure that's not accurate, right? Come on, we've got to look at that one. But a bit of flat pin too, along with the Spirit Deso. What?
Snatty has found himself an Apuah in the mid lane. Happen, that guy can't move around, so pretty slim pickings around here if you get caught out by it yourself. Tegvir was just walking around in the left jungle, so Happen's life was just so easy to take.
We'll go back to itemization. Barb Carver and Dagger of Frenzy picked up by Tegvir. I like the Avenging Blade pickup because Tegvir is kind of always in the jungle. He's always going to benefit from that passive that Avenging Blade gives for junglers specifically. You know what I mean? But Tegvir walking up to a 2v1, can he handle Snatty?
Tegvir, gotta be careful because the Snad Nation is around and looking at that Gold Fury with hunger in their eyes. Eternal Vanguard a little bit split up this time. Remikami still in the solo lane, so Boo House trying their best to make this gold lead be a little bit further than 1.3k difference here. Axiom Speed steps forward, hits some autos, but Stewie teleports on in. Palau catches a Tegvir, and that Typhoon is going to be good as well. There's the beads trying to stay himself alive, and he takes away the Gold Fury. That's what Tegvir does for Eternal Vanguard, but we're looking for the fight on the back end side of it. They empty the crypts, doing a bunch of damage to the Boo House as they tried to get revenge for their Gold Fury being stolen away from them, but they can't come up with nothing.
Boo House invested so much into the fight that may or may not have happened earlier on before the Gold Fury got burned. And by that point, Tegvir took the Gold Fury, and then everyone from EV had ran away. And Boo House is like, we have nothing to do. We can't stop you from running away. We used everything we had earlier on. Stampede active for Kuradal, a lot of ultimates, but nothing resulted in a kill. EV just kind of walked up and said, hey, that's ours, which is something we haven't even really talked about. There is a good amount of steal potential as far as objectives go on the side for Eternal Vanguard. You've got a crowd control immune ultimate for Axiom. You've got the paralyzing spit, which you would be surprised how many objectives I've seen that steal in my casting career. Happen has literally a field that just says anything that dies in here is going to be at my hands. Empty the Crypts is a huge tool, and Typhoon from Tegvir, a lot of ultimates that Boo House has to be ready for.
A lot of damage in feed for this wrap. You gotta be careful because Eternal Vanguard certainly just want to run at you and take your life along with it. Happen has been ran at a lot, but that's not stopping him from topping the damage charge for Eternal Vanguard. 10k popping out for this Opwa. So yeah, keep on running at me. You're gonna be hit like a truck.
Yeah, that's the Snatty special right there. And his build looks really nice too. Spirit Robe is going to make sure that if any hard crowd control lands from EV, the few that they do have, it is going to heal. It's going to heal Snatty for quite a bit. Genji's Guard for extra cooldown and less damage that Mikami can deal. An interesting one that you don't see too often is the Void Shield. I don't even think it's a bad pickup. I just think it's unique and very situational. But if any situation calls for it, it's going to be this one. You want Mario Bro to be slamming health bars. Same thing with Stewie. So reducing their Fizz Prots on the side of Eternal Vanguard is going to be very nice for what Boo House are trying to do within this game. But an interesting mark we're in here. A lot of objectives to look at. The Ritual Site will be up here in a little bit. The Pyromancer, FG. I mean, it's time to start grouping and making this lead that you have mean something.
Gets gone upon by Stewie up on the Palau, trying to get some damage on this Lion. Finds it, takes him down a notch. So this this on her gets sent home packing. But Tegvir is here, and well, you already used the Palau. What you got for the jungler? Not much. Tegvir is unstoppable now, 7-0. And Mort, I'm not gonna lie to you. You talked about this being like a signature pick of his career. We got to start banning it. He's looking too good on it.
Yesterday, we saw Tegvir drop a 20 bomb. No deaths. in Smite Prime. I think we might see it again right now, but Pyromancer getting burned by Boo House, trying to utilize that Tegvir was on the other side of the map, but he's already back in mid lane with Void Pain and Happen. Pyro might be a little ambitious, even though Axiom's dead, so is Stewie. So 4-on-4, is this a situation where you really win? I don't know. I think I'd much rather have Stewie around, so play your cards correctly. Don't get too crazy when it comes to objectives. I like the fact that they dropped it, even though, hey, you've got to start getting objectives if you want to win fights. You know, you got to take it at the right time. That was not the right time, but going back to itemization a little bit, Spear of the Magus picked up for Slayer, who's going to be dealing damage to everybody in a team fight. Merlin's known for just having ginormous circles across a majority of his kit, so hitting everybody in a team fight means that everybody's going to get marked by the mark that Spear of the Magus applies. Everybody will be taking additional damage, so good pickup there, along with the Soul Reaver that makes sense for all the DPS that Slayer has within his kit, so that'll be nice. Gank over in duo.
Stewie has just been sitting over here in this duo lane. Axiom Speed has the Spurs to get on out, but the Trickster Spirit this time was used after the jump up into the Palau to pull them, but beads are forced out on junglers abound. Tegvir has the Typhoon over the wall to find Mario Bro, picks up a Stewie as well, and Eternal Vanguard come up in the fight in the duo lane. Slayer is here, but too little too late. A good flicker, though, to immune out that Stygian Torment. He's safe for now, gets some damage off, but does not find a kill.
Tegvir has a massive crosshair on his back right now. 9-0 And for some that seems like, oh, I don't want to mess with him. He looks pretty threatening. To others, that says that is a lot of gold I'm going to get if I end up killing that guy. So we've got to get the team together, rally the troops, and send them off for Tegvir's doorstep. Let's try and get this guy taken care of. Pyromancer getting burned by Eternal Vanguard. Boo House well and aware though.
Dying Love forced out early, and Tegvir already here trying to profit off of that unnecessary safety being taken away. Snatty is on the wrap around, but he's been spotted out by Remakami. All the meanwhile, the Pyromancer being looked at. Assassinates good, but Speed secures the Pyromancer for Eternal Vanguard. Snatty now re-linked up to his Kuradal, looking for the fight on the back end side of it, but too much. This Loki is not having a good time. Anytime he steps forward, he just gets hit with a stun in the face and just has to turn back around.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty annoying for Snatty. But granted, he can't be too annoying because every time he gets stunned, he's going to heal. That's what the Spirit Robe does. And if you want to stun me all the time, go right ahead. It's just going to make me tankier. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's it. Hashtag Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe blessings, sayings. I don't know. So Snatty's cool with that. Looking back at items, I really like what Tegvir is going for. With the Titans ban, you're going to melt everybody on that team. You don't want to be able to just delete squishies. You got to be able to kill the tanks too. Snatty is going to be a very big threat for Eternal Vanguard. So who is going to have to handle him? It's probably going to be Tegvir. You know what I mean? Tegvir's been handling just about everyone else on the map. We've already shown up to solo lane and made our presence worthwhilely known. Happens in trouble.
Has been left alone, but he's a Hexstone to get back to the tier 1 tower and drops a bunch of damage in turns. Slayer now weak, and already on the wraparound is a Tegvir hungry for the kill on the back end side of it. Mario Bro is here as well. So it looks like once again, Boo House are ready for the fight of a lifetime on this beacon. Undying Love forced out nice and early, and Void Pain stepped up a little bit far, but it's a-okay for now. Eternal Vanguard have all of their members ready on this beacon, and Boo House just trying to hit a stray ability to get something started. Paralyzing Spit a little bit off the mark, but big man Snatty is here and ready to get pulled back in. Tegvir guys a bunch of damage. Jetstream as well to make sure he can top some off. Snatty has to run back to his tier 1 tower. Eternal Vanguard still on this beacon, gonna pick it up for themselves and still go ahead and further their lead. 26 minutes in more. They almost have a 5k gold lead. 12 kills to their name. Boo House only with 7, and slowly but surely they keep pushing it forward.
Right now, Boo House are facing a consequence that they assign themselves in picks and bans. Not a very good engage. Boo House don't really have a great way to get fights started, but Eternal Vanguard does.
Dingy and Torment puts 2 right into the crypts. A lot of damage on the back end side of it, but Jetstream makes Tegvir chase him all the way down. That's a pickup of a kill and a Slayer. Axiom Speed finds a Mario Bro in the duo lane, and Kuradal's the only one left alive. Snatty on the wraparound, though, finds himself a Happen. Void Pain still being ran at. Assassinate is good, but the rest of the team's trying to get out. Void Pain has a good stun and a leap away, and Tegvir and Remakami are here. Up on the Palau is a Stewie trying to get a pull, but has to jump on off. Aegis already used, but Tegvir is here, has to jump over the wall, so Stewie is fine for now, but Remakami, the World Snake, is still after them. Kuradal doing their best to slay them away, and they're able to do it. Kiss, Spit is good for Remakami, though. Stewie pulls on down, and Kuradal might have to run away as best you can because you're getting pulled back on in. Void Pain picks up the Aphrodite and Eternal Vanguard. They just killed 4, Morty.
Wait, where was Snatty during that whole thing? I feel like Snatty would have been a pretty nice addition to that team fight. I know he had to get out at some point. He ulted away, but what in the world just happened? Really, that's the consequence I talked about. Boo House, that is one of their better case scenario fights because they found a couple picks, but they can't start a fight worth anything.
Pick up this Fire Giant, but all the health bars are low, and Snatty is here trying to dissuade them off of it. Stingy and Torment is good to knock Snatty up, put him back down, stun him out. Remakami, though, secures the Fire Giant on the back end side of it, but can you get away with your life? Tegvir doesn't use the dagger in time. Snatty picks that one up, so now it's a 1-for-1 trade. Can Snatty get in and get a little bit more? Here comes Happen, and we use the dagger and get the kill. Axiom Speed falls on down. Slayer slayed by Remakami, but look at Snatty. That guy's got a full health bar, and he's looking for more. This time, gonna settle for a red buff, but the rest of Eternal Vanguard, they're here. Snatty, what you gonna do when 3 members running at you? Well, they turn back around, and that is one speedy Loki, so he's gonna get out for now.
I think Snatty's doing a fantastic job of living through fights and being a nuisance and dealing damage, but you have to have a team that kind of enables what Snatty wants to do. It's going to be harder for him to really run at anyone that isn't locked down, and there's not a lot of lockdown on the side of Boo House's team comp. You got the Pala, which sets things up pretty nice, all things depending, but Kuradal is more of a response pick. Oh my god.
Think Void Pain. Void Pain, this dog has a hunger in his eyes, wants to make a name for himself out here. Double blink, Stingy, and Torment. Forced out, though, by the Undying Love, so Kuradal makes sure that no one else is dying today, keeping Mario Bro nice and safe. But Eternal Vanguard, they have so much aggression. They just want to keep running at them. Remakami, now a little bit far forward, but it's not taking too much damage. I'm pretty sure Remakami's right where he wants to be.
I think so too. I think he's just completely fine hanging out in the front line, even though you would think based off Remakami's build, he'd be considered a little bit squishier. I won't even argue with it. The build is pretty squishy altogether. Soul Reaver and Helm of Radiance don't provide much for prots. Now, Helm can provide a decent amount, but, you know, it's kind of, you know, contextual, right? But Prophetic alone, Genji's is a good shout too, but Prophetic alone offers so much when you get that item stacked up. And granted, how easy it is to stack it up on Yorm, the reach on his one, and even if you miss it, it leaves a pool of damage on the ground that will still proc Prophetic. And he's still got to get some stacks off against Slayer and Kuradal. Look at the magical damage dealing gods, and then we'll, you know, be really tanky. Void Pain setting up at the back.
Torment was used, but immuned on out by Undying Love, so a resource down means it's time to fight. Eternal Vanguard back off a little bit, though. Boo House, all 5 members are here, and daring someone to step on forward, and we found a Tegvir on the left-hand side. You stepped up too far, and Stewie makes you pay for it with your life. Up into the powwow, looking for someone to pull on the back-end side of it. A little off the mark, though, so the rest of Eternal Vanguard are safe, but big man Tegvir's down.
Tegvir is getting a little hangry, right? I haven't been fed in a little bit. I need more kills, and he's trying to find some that just aren't really there, and that's the punishment. From 9-0 to 10-2, Boo House are in a pretty good spot.
Happen is being looked upon and taken on out. Kuradal picks that one up, and Boo House are looking for the aggression. Remakami into the World Serpent trying to get out, but a stun on the Void Pain means he has to be careful and try to get out. The Stingy Torment's not going to be enough. Double kill for the support. Kuradal running it down, and that was all over a Pyromancer, Morty.
Dude, I think that right now Void Pain's ult keeps getting immune by Kuradal, and then Happen looks at Void Pain. He's like, what else can you do? He's like, I can maybe stun one of them. And that's pretty much it. That's all the peel that's left for Sir once the ult's gone. I can maybe stun 2, probably 1. Like, and then Happens just like, dude, they're all gonna run at me right now. Like, they're all gonna come and kill me, and you can't do anything about it. He's like, nope, that's serve. That's the downside of the comp right now. When you can't successfully run at them, they can pretty successfully run at you, and with a god as immobile as Opwash, that seems to be happening a lot.
Gold Fury has been looked at, secured by Axiom Speed, but can you get out with your life? The Blinking Abyss expended, so on her should be safe. And up into the World Serpent goes Remakami to put some damage on the back end side of it. That Bluestone or Soul Reaver combo does a lot, and Remakami gets out with their life. Eternal Vanguard get the Gold Fury, and they may have lost a couple of fights, Morty, but still, they're 5k gold ahead. So not a bad play here, but Boo House certainly finding ways to answer back.
Now, here's the thing that happens, Moon. We're getting to that point 33 minutes into the game where that gold lead doesn't really matter as much when everybody's got full tier 3 items and elixirs to look at, and we're getting to that point. There's still a little bit of time where EV can make use of this gold lead, but for now it doesn't, you know, it's going to matter some, but you've got to utilize this lead while you have it, is what I'm trying to get at. You need to go grab that EFG that spawns in 10 seconds. That Ancient Gold Fury, when that spawns in about a minute or 2, that looks like a pretty good objective to grab too. But these toss-ups around random fights and pyromancers that don't matter too much in the grand scheme of things, that's not how you utilize a lead. You need to just do as much as you can while you have this lead before Boo House realize we can take way more of these fights than they think we can. You know what I mean? It's about that early confidence to utilize the lead that you have. We haven't seen that very much from Eternal Vanguard. It's just kind of been stalemating objectives, grabbing a couple things here and there. I don't know.
Indeed, Remakami steps forward, gets stunned out, and takes a lot of damage in turn. Doesn't have a lot of prots, so his health bar doesn't look great. Forced to the World Serpent, and now it's time to show why we don't build with a couple prots. Hits this World Serpent, does a couple bit of damage, and just does a couple hops right on out of there. That's a Jormungandr sent back to base. So what is Boohouse going to get on the back of that is the question. Not much, because the rest of Eternal Vanguard decided to back up as well.
Well, they can probably win a fight. Those are two really big ults taken away from Eternal Vanguard, and not a lot of cooldown. Well, a fair bit of cooldown, but still, you've got to wait on ults. You know what I mean? Void Pain will have it up here in a minute or so, but still, it's time to take advantage.
Tower falls on down. Remakami steps forward. Aegis forced on out, so the Snake even weaker. Has to be careful. Snatty is here just to be a nuisance, drop a decoy, just to delay these backs even more. And the rest of Boohouse, they back on up to that Pyromancer. And what they lack in decent secure, they're going to make up for it in these bombs.
That is a decent response tool. It's something. I like that they're grabbing little things, right? Because that Pyromancer was easy to sneak. The Opwash ult thrown down into the Crypts doesn't find much.
Another resource off the table here for Eternal Vanguard. Happen little trigger happy with those Crypts. So Boohouse able to just run away for it. They get themselves a Pyromancer. That's Opwa's ultimate down. Granted, he does have Deso, Sands of Time, World Stone, and also the Circes. So he's probably looking to just drop as many of those as he can, but still, it's a resource down.
So EFG could be looked at in a little bit. Here's the thing. I feel like Eternal Vanguard are having a hard time starting fights. Their main engage, which is Void Pain's ult, is getting immune by Kurdal's ult. And then now we're back to square one with one less resource to use for both teams, right? And then it's like, well, does Remakami start our fights? Tagveer is surely not going to start our fights with Typhoon. There's not much else that can be done to, lock everybody down. Let's go for a big fight. Let's do something big to lock them down and get some kills. There's no real engage left without Void Pain's ultimate. Same thing with Boohouse. You've got the Powwow to work with. That's good for finding picks maybe, but you want to start an all-out team fight off of Powwow? It's a little bit easier said than done. Both teams are having this weird stalematy kind of thing they're going through because neither team can start a fight efficiently. So that leaves us to finding picks. Where can we find a pick? It's going to be a long game, Moon, of who steps out of position first and which team gets punished for it harder.
Now, Morty, I need to talk. Listen, we need to talk. You
Go ahead.
cursed us at the beginning of this game when you went, man, I sure hope this game doesn't go to 50 minutes. I didn't say anything at the time, but as the clock, we're looking at 36 minutes in. It's very likely here. Both these two teams playing extremely safe. Eternal Vanguard still got themselves a lead, but ever more, Boohouse have started to claw themselves back up to it. No longer is it 5K, 6K, now only 3K. Eternal Vanguard ahead, and as we get later into the game, the less and less that gold lead matters. These two teams pretty even, and all the more likely that we might go 50 minutes.
Finishing up builds here, we're looking at very heavy protections for Snatty. We call this the Prot Slop build, right? It's just a big old slop bucket of protections. Spirit Robe, Draconic Scale, Genji's Guard. These are items that make Snatty extremely tanky, nigh unkillable in a majority of team fights. And with all the CDR through Genji's Guard and other means too, and yeah, the Sundering Echo is a pretty nice shout as well. Extra damage in team fights. Snatty is going to be one of the most annoying pieces of meat to deal with on the side of Boohouse because he's going to be all over the place. Highly mobile still. Granted, it's still Loki we're talking about. This isn't just a tank with tank numbers. This is Loki that has Assassinate that can go over walls and hit stuns on you too. So it's kind of like a best of both worlds situation. It's like an M1 Abrams with a V8 engine.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you, Mort. I am not a car guy, so that went right over my head. But what I do know is that Remakami, second on the damage charts as opposed to Snatty. So both these solo laners doing a lot in this team fight. And it's that Bluestone Soul Reaver combo we see. That's what Yorm is pretty much known for at this point. Able to just pump out a lot of sneaky damage in these team fights. And also highly mobile himself as long as he has that World Serpent up there.
That is true. You've got a lot of damage there, but At this point, I would rather use Rembakami as a beefcake rather than an extra damage because you've got a lot of damage already on the side of EV. Tegvir hurts quite a bit, and Happen hurts a pretty good amount too, especially when he can nail a good ult. Axiom's getting to a pretty nice spot online too. I'm not going to argue with you and say that Rembakami doesn't deal damage. He surely does, but does that damage matter when you need to start the fight in the first place? I would rather Rembakami just slither his way up there and say, look at me, I'm a big snake and you can try and kill me. You know, wag your little snake tail and say, come find me, boys. But that's, you know, the damage takes away that ability because Rembakami's going to get popped before he can even get into his ultimate to try and escape because not a lot of protections. I mean, there's some through Genji, some through Prophetic, which I would hope is stacked by now. Shell of Rebuke provides 20 of each as well, but we'll go for a Pyro. Let's try and bait this.
Vanguard are ready and hungry for that fight. Boo House, though, are around. And that presence enough is gonna force Eternal Vanguard to back on out, but they're still stepping forward. Rembakami throwing spits over the wall, daring someone to walk into that pool and at least get a little bit more damage, but Snatty's gonna be the one getting started. Axiom speed taken down to about half health. That Assassinate was used early, so that's another, yet again, bingo word, resource down. Blink in from Void Pain, Stingy and Torment forced, and Undying Love as well. So Boo House now answered back, got aggressive, but they're the ones on the back foot here, and Eternal Vanguard re-pick up this Pyromancer.
Yet again, that's their main resource engage. Wait, Snatty over the wall? No, he doesn't steal. He tried for it, though. Are they going to collapse on him?
They collapsed on him indeed. Desert Fury was used, but he is so tanky. You know what? I agree with you, Mort. Damage and tank. That's what matters here. Rembakami snakes on forward. Sneaky little one he is onto Slayer, and he takes half his health bar for just trying to get a shield off of Slayer. Stewie finds a Void Pain in the mid lane, so Boo House find the first pick, and that's a support off the map for another minute.
Well, that stinks. Eternal Vanguard. That lead that they had sure is crumbling to right about nothing. What did I say, Moon? It's all about taking advantage of the lead while you have it. Otherwise, Boo House are going to realize we deal way more damage than they think we do. And now they start taking fights. They almost lost Snatty in the process. Now they get to burn this EFG. EV are still down one.
They're confident about it as well. EFG pulled down to about 10k. That's halfway. But Tegvir hiding in the bush. Spotted on out this time, though. A good Galler Flare means that he's not going to be sneaky this time. But what's going to happen? Happens here, releasing the Crypts. This is a fight. Who can steal it away? It's going to be Happen to secure it this time. That's the silent Apua. But can you get out with your life? We pick up the dagger up into the Palau with Stewie. Tegvir falls on down, and this Daji has the Aegis to stay alive on the back end side of it. Rembakami picks up that Stewie, though, and we trying to look for more. It's a 2-for-1 trade. What can you do on the back end side of it? Happen eating the bodies as he runs on down. But Boo House, they're not out of it just yet. Kuradol has a dagger, and Slayer spots himself a lion in the jungle on the prowl. Good damage on the back end side of it, but he has a leap, so he's not going to fall down for now. Boo House already respawned, running out the base, trying to find a pick.
See, that's exactly why I said earlier that Eternal Vanguard just really need a tank right now. They don't need extra damage because even with Void Pain dead, that was a 4-on-5, keep in mind. That was 4 people from EV and 5 from Boo House. And Eternal Vanguard won when they did not have the man advantage. So all they needed was Void Pain to start a fight, and then they can do the rest from there. Void Pain is I don't want to say useless, but his main purpose has been served. Whatever he does after that is just cherry on top of the cake. You know what I mean? And with Void Pain gone, there was still a fight that started, and EV said, hey, a fight started. We know what to do from here. And then they pretty much won the team fight. Tegvir did what he's been doing for a majority of this game and dealing a lot of damage to people who look at him funny. Happen finally hit a pretty sweet ult that got him an assist and a lot of damage on EFG. That's what secured them that objective. Axiom's starting to get a pretty good point yet again as well. You know, slowly climbing up the player damage chart. Started off very low, but in quick time is moving up quickly. Now they can go for this Ancient Gold Fury and take away some side Phoenixes and that mid lane tier 2 that is for some reason still standing. Don't worry, they'll go take care of that in a moment. Oh no.
Indeed. Happen has that Hexstone, and this is such a smart pickup for this guy. How many times has he been engaged upon and he just turned into a pig and ran away? This Aqua lives to see yet another day, and Boo House now on the run away. Happen, not scared, just chasing them down. Be careful, buddy, because the rest of the members are behind that bush.
Happen with not a lick of mobility with Cersei's down, and not a care in the world either. Just absolutely slamming damage right now. Happens like, I love for when y'all to catch me out in this jungle. I am ready to go. Ultimate online and everything else off cooldown. Happen is ready for an exchange of some sort. Eternal Vanguard are looking at this left bird. Boo House seem to be ready for it though.
Boo House here, ready to put up the defense. Tegvir a little bit late to the party, but with enough stalling, he's going to be here in time. Happen, though, takes a lot of damage from some good black holes over the wall from Slayer. He has the bodies to heal himself up, and of course, the enhanced Fire Giant for another minute here. Eternal Vanguard ready to get nasty in this duo lane and take down that Phoenix. Void Pain goes on in. Stygian Torment forces out the Undying Love. Happen has the Crypts, but not a lot of people were caught in it.
You know, I hope the Void Pain doesn't think he's useless because he's baiting out the ult, because that ult I would much rather that be used on Void Pain than Tegvir's Typhoon or Happen's ultimate too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other abilities that Kurndal would much rather Undying Love, but if we have to use this to save our lives from a really nice Stygian Torment, then we have to. You know, it's just kind of like an ult for ult trade that just keeps happening, but I don't think it's Void Pain wasting an ultimate. I think it's Void Pain keeping Kurndal in check, saying, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still somebody that will, you know, I might not kill you alone, but I will bring you to my team and my team will kill you. So I think it's a worthy resource that Void Pain keeps taking away.
Sam had used that blink in the mid lane as we see a fight here in the mid to get pulled on back in, but Eternal Vanguard safe for now, as well as Boo House. Mario Bro able to get out of that engagement, but all the meanwhile, look at the Lion. Eternal Vanguard on the Pyromancer, so they're still finding objectives. The mid beacon, the Pyromancer, it's all theirs, and it looks like we're waiting for the next enhanced Fire Giant.
That'll be up sooner than you think. I mean, it's been a long game here, Moon. I didn't mean to jinx this earlier, but I just might have because both teams are, again, having a hard time starting a fight. That's why our kill count is so low. There's been less than a kill for each minute in this game so far. It might be like half of that. Axiom's, oh my
Speed is
God.
flattened. Slayer shows why he's the man over here, and Rebekami is going to be next up with a chopping block. A lot of bird damage. That's a 2-for-1 trade as Tegvir shuts down Slayer, and he's able to get out of that fight nice and easy. Again, that movement speed is so impactful. But 2 members down, the Eternal Vanguard are going to be weak for this Fire Giant. Well, it's spawning in 5 seconds.
But without Slayer, wait, there's more?
Natty's going in. Assassinate has found his way onto Happen. He has the Crypts to make sure they get out of there. And Undying Love once again answered. Every time that you see Void Pain using that Stygian Torment, it's going to be answered with a couple of a spin around by an Aphrodite, making sure no one gets picked up. 3 members left for the Eternal Vanguard to defend this enhanced Fire Giant. And if you need anyone to do it, it's going to be Tegvir and Happen, who stole away the last one. It's already pulled down to about half HP. And all 4 members of the Boo House are ready and daring anyone to step up for the fight. Tegvir on the wraparound has been spotted out. Mario Bro takes a chunk of damage. Stewie has found that Happen in the back line, but Tegvir is finding even more, and he does a ton of damage. Void Pain falls to Stewie, and can you stay alive? Kurndal has the Undying Love back up again. Tegvir falls on down. It's a triple kill for Stewie. Deicide for Eternal Vanguard, and the Enhanced Fire Giant goes to 3 members of the Boo House.
Oh, man. It all looks so good for just a moment, but a couple key things that made that go awry for Eternal Vanguard. That steal looked kind of nice on paper, but one, they were down 2 members, Rebekami and Axiom. Axiom originally got picked. That's the main fault there, is losing your carry. Also, no ultimates were up for Tegvir, Happen, or Void Pain when they all first walked into the pit. Having the Empty the Crypts available there would have made that a game changer. EV would be walking away with those EFG belts. I can assure you of that. But Snatty walking forward to take away Happen's ult before that whole thing even went down seemed a lot more useful than it might have when it first just happened on our screen, right? At that point, we were thinking, well, that's a good bait from Snatty, but then it led to a whole EFG fight turning a completely different way. Same thing with Tegvir's ult. Same thing with Void Pain's ult. That would have all been pretty nice going into the Fire Giant pit, but didn't happen. So now they lose EFG. That stinks. Slayer and Mario Bro don't have the buffs, but it's fine. There are still 3 members of Boo House that do. Ancient Gold Fury gets burned, so now there's a left weakened bird for Eternal Vanguard that can get busted open pretty soon here, as soon as Boot House group up and decide they want to do it, they probably can. Obsidian Dagger in pocket for Snatty, along with the belt for EFG, and the build that he's been going means that he's going to be pretty much unkillable. And if he is somehow almost killed, he will revive. This looks lights out for Eternal Vanguard.
Yeah, you gotta be careful as Boo House. They're marching it down the duo lane, 3 members strong. Snatty doing his best to try and stop a couple of backs, and he's found 2 to slow down the, well, defense of Eternal Vanguard. Although meanwhile, though, Boo House still slowly, safely marching it down the duo, ready to bust the base. But on the receiving end of it, Eternal Vanguard, don't forget, a couple minutes ago, they had EFG, and they had that Ancient Golden Fury. Voidpain jumps on in, uses that Stygian Torment, which is once again immune by that Undying Love. Doesn't take too much damage off the back of it, though, so still just yet another 1-for-1 trade.
But a lot less defensive tools for Eternal Vanguard. Beforehand, when we looked at this situation when it was on the other shoe, Boo House had Afro to work with. They had Powwow in case things got hairy to hop up onto. Snatty just moves around the fight and then never dies. There were escape tools in place for Boo House. Eternal Vanguard don't have as much. There's a Cersei's Hexstone, which I guess helps happen, but not much else.
Bro's doing a bunch of damage under this Phoenix. A kiss hits someone, and then an axe flies at their head right soon after, so Axiom Speed has to be a little careful here. So does Voidpain, already knocked down to about half. The rest of the Boo House knocking on the base. This Phoenix pulled down to about 1k, but they're defending it pretty well. They don't have that, but there's the hammer. Ah! Axiom, where did he go?
Oh my god, and now down their carry. Everybody else from EV is at half health, so they have to walk away from the bird. Boo House decide to let the game live on a little bit longer. No, we'll go for the mid lane bird instead. It's not weakened, but with EFG belts, it's still very possible, but EV are healed up, and now walking back to try and defend it, but I don't know if they can.
Play it smart, play it safe. This Phoenix has 700 HP, and it's going to fall down here pretty fast. Voidpain steps forward just to jump back on out. Boo House have made Eternal Vanguard's Titan Room 2 Phoenixes weaker, and they're going for this tier 2 tower as well. Hans Fire Giant's going to fall off in about 10 seconds. The rest of Eternal Vanguard, 4 members strong, are here and ready. They're still going to look at this Phoenix, though, and a lot of damage is already being chunked into Remakami. Already put down here. It's going to be fine for a little bit longer. And looks like Eternal Vanguard are going to be able to defend. Mario Bro takes a bunch of damage, and Boo House, well, they got to skedaddle.
Well, I like this strategy because what this is, it's less of, okay, maybe we're not winning the game right now, right? It's not that. This is more so an investment to win the game later down the road, because while we go for EFG in the next 30 seconds, you're going to have fire minions running into your Titan room. And look at where we're at here game-wise. 50 minutes in means that these minions have only been scaling more, only been getting stronger. These fire minions are even a hassle for Tegvir to clear. This guy's full build, 12-4, and he's having issue clearing fire minion waves. Like, that is really bad for Eternal Vanguard, especially when both your mid and left lane are going to be taking these minions in. So EV now have one more contingency to worry about, one more issue that just won't leave them alone for another couple minutes. Eternal Vanguard have to play this very carefully. Save your ultimates exactly when you'll need them. You need to pounce when the time is right, but there's one more EFG siege for them to fight over, and how that goes will determine the victor of this game.
51 minutes into this game, Boo House hit the Enhanced Fire Giant, but we came this long, and, well, we'd feel awful if we lose it here, so they're going to play it safe here as well. Eternal Vanguard wrapping it around. Snatty, being the ever-loving nuisance that he is, just going to drop some decoys, a couple of bluestone procs on Eternal Vanguard. Got to be careful, because, well, Mort, looks like we're in for another long Fire Giant tango.
Finally, a burn begins. It seems non-committal. Boo House would much rather just win a fight and win the game, but starting a fight, as we've seen throughout a majority of this entire match, has not been their strong suit. Snatty positioning very up high. He just wants to be a distraction. Make sure that EV aren't on their game. You can't just be looking at that health bar. You've got to worry about me as well, but it goes down to 10k. What can we do right after Snatty still being annoying and causing some damage?
Player has been gone upon by Voidpain, has the flicker out of there, and Remakami already up into the World Serpent, trying to get out of this fight. 1 HP in a dream. That dream is to stay alive. Stewie, Slayer, and Kuradal all low, but we have an Aphrodite to heal ourselves up. So no one's going to fall in this little like skirmish that's happening. But look at Snatty still chasing down Tegfear in the mid lane. These two teams, it's going to be a long one. And you mentioned it. We keep mentioning it. They just don't have that good engage other than Snatty just running at them with like a chicken with his head cut off, being like, I dare you to hit me. I'm not going to take any damage on the back end of it.
But you also got to shout EV for grouping together like they are. Snatty would love to catch out Tegfear in a dark alley, right? If it's just me and you, Snatty's winning that every day of the week because Snatty does just as much damage as Tegfear does, but is like 10 times tankier. You know what I mean? So, eventually Tegfear dies. Snatty surely does not. But when they're grouped up as multiple members, Snatty has a little bit harder of a time getting all that damage out the door before he's bursted down by Happen, who's got anti-heal. That counters out the Spirit Robe. From anybody else, I mean, you've got Prot Shred from Void Pain. That's also what Anhur's passive does, too, along with the Avenging Blade. So Prot Shred hurts as well, but the EFG finally getting burned. Boo House won it bad.
Looks committal is down to about 7k HP, and, well, we unleash it again, so it goes ahead. Looks like it's going to regen itself all the way up to full. Boo House, to any slight aggression from Eternal Vanguard, they decide to back on off, and again, you can't blame them. This EV team, they have so much damage in their pockets. This is going to be the last enhanced fire giant of the game. And we're stalling it out pretty well here if you're EV, right? The duo Phoenix does fall down again, but our mid Phoenix has respawned. Knowing that, Boo House pick up that enhanced fire giant yet again. Void Pain, Axiom, Remikami all here on the back end side, though. Snatty has the Assassinate. He gets stunned on out, but a shell, and that Crips is going to be unfortunate for Happen. He gets pulled back in. Slayer slays that one, and now there's a Cerberus who cannot run away fast enough. That's a double kill for the Merlin in the mid lane. Haven't seen him in a while, so he's going to make a name for himself here. Remikami next to fall up on the block. Mario Bro picks that one up, but Axiom speed on the back end side of it finds a Slayer. Tegfear falls on down to Stewie. That's a deicide for Eternal Vanguard. Boo House running it down into the Titan room. They are going to be your first winners for this broadcasted game of Athens Season 9.
Beautiful way to start that fight. An incredible way to catch out Remikami. And then all of a sudden, Snatty's on top of the back line. And that ult from Happen just doesn't do enough to keep them away. Low health bars almost entirely across the board, but Boo House getting what they needed to do done. Just absolutely stellar gameplay at the end there. It's all about patience. Violence and timing is the name of the game. And even though it took an almost hour-long game, very beautiful gameplay from Boo House.
Played it smart, played it safe. Tegfear, not often that you see the 12-5 jungler losing, but hey, when you have a 12-5 jungler on the other side, feel pretty good about it. Stewie played great this game, finding those pivotal engagements here, and Kuradal, Mario Bro, everyone really came together, but it really comes down to it. It's the unkillable Snad Nation who really just ran the game.
Snad Nation rise. Yeah, I mean, he did a great job of just being that frontline nuisance that Loki aspect is known for. Slayer's made a pretty nice re-emergence too. I haven't seen Slayer's name in a while, aside from a couple Twitter posts here and there, but it's been nice to see him back in the game and functioning at very high capacity. You've got to love what you see from Slayer. That's how they're burning these objectives so well. I mean, it has been amazing gameplay, but we've got more games ahead of us, Moon.
This is the first game of a best of 3. It's a 50-minute barn burner, but we're not done just yet. Will Eternal Vanguard be able to answer? Well, after seeing that game, they just might, but we don't know the answer until we get to the game, which will be right after this short break.
Wonder what the moon would look like with a black eye. Maybe it's like I'm going blind. Maybe I should give it a try. Give it a long, hard look at it all, and ask, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? Just another night. storms made landfall in my life. I used to think nothing was sharper than a stare from your eyes. Your words got deeper and deeper than I can take, and I'm afraid that I'll fall asleep and you'll be gone before away. I gotta give a long, hard look at it all and ask, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? Just another nail in my coffin wall, asking, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? When I scream, will you hear me? And ask, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? When I scream, will you hear me? Why don't you love me? Why don't you love me?
Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the OSL Athens Division Eternal Vanguard versus the Boo House. My name is Moon Mellows. I'm joined here by Amorty, and our amazing producer keeping the lights on is going to be the Nova Shark. Boo House won game number 1 after a 55-minute barn burner. Mort, you cursed us for a first minute 50-minute long game. We're owed a 25-minute short and easy one here.
Stop blaming that on me. That happened in Picks and Pants, buddy. We already talked about that, and you're blaming me for no reason. The Cassius Curse thing is fake, and that was all down to Picks and Pants. Both teams had, you had one team comp, Eternal Vanguard, had this comp that was, they had a hard time getting fights started. Their only real source of engage was the Serval, which got countered by Kurendal time after time after time, and then they were just like, we'll try it another way. We'll go for a pick or something like that. Boo House had no initiation whatsoever aside from Snatty looking to isolate somebody, and then that was pretty much it. So that happened in Picks and Bans. This is why I say, when in doubt, go for the big circles. Let's just get a bunch of big circles from your Hunbats, your Cupid, all those big circle gods. Let's get those in there, and that's how you just always win games. But what do I know? It's about, there's a lot of other strengths that they had in that team comp. I think just a couple tweaks here and there, some type of engage, you've got to keep that in mind.
Would look a lot nicer here, but hey, the Turtle won the race in that game. So Boo House certainly feeling strong as they make their way into game number 2 here. But again, Eternal Vanguard, it wasn't a stomp, it was a bloodbath, right? Just waiting for the other team to make a mistake and go forward. And don't forget, Eternal Vanguard were up a lot of that game. Bastet, Horus, once again taken off the board. And also off the board, in case you forgot, this is a Vault Ban League. All 10 of those gods right under our pretty faces. You're not going to see them in this game.
So, Vault bans in place means that 10 gods being taken away, that opens up our options for new solo laners. Maybe the Osiris will debut. Maybe the Rat Spect will come out. Remy K loves the Rat Spect. And maybe we'll see some different junglers show up. Chronos banned away, so we won't be seeing him. Kali banned as well, and that's a very respectable ban with how awesome intelligence items are right now. Let's get that god out of the way, and we don't have to deal with him. But, I mean, this changes up things a pretty big amount. I think this means we'll see Achilles get picked up by Tegvir, or Snatty might put some prio on Achilles first. Let's take a big jungler pick away from Tegvir, because if he's not playing Susano, he's playing Achilles. And Snatty loves to play Achilles, so that's going to be a hot contingency going into this game. A god that's not worth banning, but still needs to be respected because of how one player of each team is so good. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. As more bans come through. Kabrakan, who's been a very rough solo lane matchup. Musi says, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think Kabrakan has any bad matchups. So, you know, maybe the Stray Mage or something, Anubis or whatever, but no, Achilles gets banned instead.
My blood runs cold.
Sobek also first pick overall here, and Boo House banned Achilles, and now that Giannis that they banned in game number 1 is up and available. This is the kind of the first time I'm seeing that pick even be out in the open here, and I'm kind of interested if Boo House opt to go for it. I know Slayer's been running it a lot in ranked.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's not just a pick that's all about damage. It's also about mobility in a sense, right? You know, some might think, well, Giannis doesn't have a dash, right? Well, Giannis still has a portal that gets him through literally any map, and if you put that on the right structure, you will go from one end to the jungle to the next. So a well-placed portal can change how a team fight goes entirely. So Giannis and Eset, that means that Kuradal is going to be moving with Eset support. Aspect of the Life Warden gives her shields and heals for the entire team. That'll be very, very beneficial going into the team fight phase. And also a pretty good amount of dual lane pressure too. If that goes with, you know, very aggressive early carry like a Hu Yi or something, I can see first blood potential for Boo House.
Very annoying top 2 here. Giannis just going to run away from you, and Eset is just going to allow the Giannis to run away from you. But Eternal Vanguard not going to allow that Hu Yi pick up for Mario Bro. Instead, going to opt for it for themselves, and a Thor lock-in as well. This could either go for Remikami or Tegvir, and both those guys definitely know how to pilot that god.
I would like to put my money on Remikami. I think that Tegvir has a Thor in the bag, but it's much more likely that we're going to get him the Hu Yi pick. I've seen Tegvir pull out the Hu Yi quite a bit, and that looks pretty nasty too. You've got crowd control without the aspects, so your ganks will set some up as well as find some kills. Sunbreaker will be a good fighting over objectives ult to throw down, and the wall, the sun that falls at the very end of the circle, that can block off some corridors too. So if used correctly, I think this Hu Yi jungle pick could be very nice, but there's also a chance we get a scene thrown to Axiom too. I mean, he's going to need a carry to play at the end of this whole thing after all, and with Anher gone, Jingwei picked up, Ullr's gone, Hu Yi's gone, who else would he play? You know what I mean? There's maybe a Cupid, which would counter the Mordred, but I'd say let's just give him the Hu Yi and then find ourselves a jungler.
I can see also
The moon will purify
Vanguard
this land.
and Tsukuyomi. That is a top 5 draft here that is pretty special for this Eternal Vanguard team, and you called it, Remikami more than likely piloting that Thor over in the solo lane, and Tegvir gets a Tsukuyomi, who I think, low-key, is kind of a sneaky pick who does a lot of damage here.
And we haven't seen as much Tsukuyomi when they changed up how Transcendence and Book of Thoth works. Those items no longer stack with each other, but they still both build off of mana. So you don't really get a whole bunch of strength and intelligence from the book trans combo like you used to. right? So that kind of took his power down a little bit. But I have seen a couple of junglers now moving over to a more intelligence-focused build when it comes to Tsukiyomi, because intelligence items are kind of the bomb.com right now. Not sure if you've been keeping up with patch notes at home, but if you haven't, intelligence items are in. That's why we're seeing Aladdin bans. That's why we're seeing high intelligence bans. And Guan Yu gets picked up. Okay, Snatty gets E-set solo. This is Guan Yu support for Kuradal, which kind of does the same thing that Afro does, right? A lot of heals. You don't have CC immunity for your team, but you're able to offer a lot of cooldowns, which means that Giannis can spam abilities. Terrifying to think about. Same thing with Mordred. He gets to dash around the fight even more. Also terrifying. Like, this is just a lot of, things that were already bad for Eternal Vanguard are now 10 times worse because they have a god that offers multiple seconds off all of your buttons, like every 3 seconds. It's bad. It's getting really bad for EV.
Cooldown taken off, like cooldowns taken away, but also wounds taken away. Guan Yu has so much healing, and last game, so that Aphrodite sustain came in clutch, and that's sustain on just one person. Guan Yu, he does it for his entire team.
Yeah, it is kind of bad. If this Guan Yu pick is piloted correctly, then Boo House have a very nigh unstoppable team fight. And one thing they were worried about last game is engage. They didn't have a very good way to start a fight. Now we look over there and things have changed entirely. A Giannis snipe alone can almost be a fight starter, right? And it also puts your allies in a position to start a fight on their own terms. Pursue the weak, Guan Yu ult, a lot of big ways to do so.
They have an idea how to run at you, and they want to do it here as we get ready to go into game number 2, Eternal Vanguard versus the Boo House. My name is Moon Milos. I'm joined here by the amazing Morty Man, and our eyes in the sky is going to be the Nova Shark. And now we're seeing things across the board, right? Snatty in the solo lane piloting this E-set, and you called it Kuradal aspect of the general with this Guan Yu. So a lot of sustain and a lot of annoyance coming out for these guys.
And you bring up this Guan Yu aspect, we'll get a little bit of time to talk about it. Selflessness is going to be the starter that Kuradal goes for. His objective this game is to sit next to people that have low health bars or need cooldowns or both and spam your one. Spam your one. Conviction over and over and over and over for an enormous amount of heals, and make sure that your backline is just fine to do what they want to do. And Selflessness will help with that quite a bit as well, along with the Phantom Shell, which will inevitably be upgraded to Shell of Rebuke, which offers a lot of mitigations and protections for Kuradal as well. Big fan of the support pick, and you wonder who's going to be replacing Kuradal on the front line. It's Stewie with this Mordred jungle pick that we've been seeing quite a bit of recently. Going for an axe early means that we probably won't be seeing the intelligence build that's been used a little bit by Mordred players recently. Stewie's going to be going for a more traditional bit of strength for extra camp clear and such. Less focused on healing in the fight, more so on dealing the damage than healing it up. And Snatty on this E-set solo pick, again with the aspect of the Life Warden, which provides a good amount of utility, but also you don't lose too much damage in the process, and it also helps your utility throughout the later parts of the game. But damage and utility will just be the name of the game for Snatty, who moves around the fight extremely quickly. Displacement immunity for the pluck and such. A lot to love for Boo House's team comp over there. It has like all the good stuff that their comp had in Team 1. And now they've got engages. Now they've got ways to start fights, to counter fights. Boo House just have this really sweet team comp cooked up for them. I think it's going to benefit them not just early, like a good laning phase, but also late game.
Late game's going to be very important for these two teams here, especially with Tegvir not going the typical strength-oriented Tsukiyomi, right? We went to a conduit and a tier 1 gem. So opting to go, like, really utilize these mage items here as we go in for a little bit aggressive, but Slayer has a portal for his Stewie, and already a team player is this Giannis. Boo House get themselves a couple of oracles, and don't lose much for it.
Yeah, my money's on an early Spiridesso pickup for Tegvir, and that's what's going to get him the early damage needed. You know, you want low cooldowns, you want high hitting damage abilities. I think that Spiridesso would be a really nice benefit, included with that flat pin that has been introduced to the game recently, and a pretty nice stat that pops up on top of Spirit Desolation. So let's go for that. And with the Evil Eye pick up too, I think it's exactly what Tegvir is going to be looking at. Maybe even the same thing for Happen too. If we want to get aggressive early on, this is a team comp that looks like it can do it if played correctly, right? The Open the Gates and Piercing Moonlight setup means that Tegvir and Happen can be all over team fights. These gods that might look low mobility, you know, if used correctly with their ultimates, they will be hard to lock down.
Bit of a skirmish here in the solo lane. Stewie and Tegvir have made the rotation over just for these rocks and, well, this Warhorn as well. Not wanting to go down for free. The totem gonna fall down, though, for Eternal Vanguard. So a little bit of gold in their pockets. That's team gold, by the way. And on the back end side of it, Boo House just taking a little bit of damage. So these two teams, a little bit of a change from game number 1. Still playing slowly, but no deaths just yet. And, well, these rocks, looks like Eternal Vanguard are going to be the first ones to step up to the plate.
And the Firebrands, a little bit of extra adaptive stats for Eternal Vanguard. Probably going to be intelligence for Tegvir. You know, we're seeing this high intelligence build, and same thing for... Oh, no, Remikami's going for just a bit of extra health. I'm assuming that's going to be a Rune Forged early on. You've got an easy access stun for Remikami. Pretty easy to hit. And you'll be able to benefit from the Rune Forge pretty often. Or it could be the Eye of Erebus. That's been a pick for Remikami, playing a lot of the solo laners that he likes to go, whether it be the Rat or Thor or Yorm. He just likes the Eye of Erebus. Pretty common, so wouldn't be surprised to see that either. A couple different options for Remikami to go down. An early cloak pickup means that we'll be seeing Gauntlet for Void Pain. Gauntlet of Thieves is a lot of extra health, and also what Sobek's ultimate gives him too. So going for this extra health build, maybe even a Yogi's later, could be very nice for a lot of out of combat healing, which will combat what Kuradal is doing with this Guan Yu pick. Out of combat healing, in combat too, for sure, but just healing a lot, you know, as much as possible.
Sun's going to rain on down. Forced onto the horse is Kuradal, looking after Void Pain. Makes him to go into the water. Stewie's is here. Damage a little bit not off the mark because pursuing the weak is he. Void Pain up in the sky. Lands back on down. That's a first blood for Boo House, and the rest of the house, well, they're going to get on out of here. Kuradal's got the heals, but Tegvir finds himself a Snatty in the solo lane.
Piercing Moonlight justifying a couple ticks, grab the kill, and then walk away, which I think is a good response, right? You need to invest something there, and what else are you going to be using that ult for anytime soon? I think it's a really nice play from Tegvir to go over there and do that. While it was an unfortunate spill over in duo lane, a lot of investment, especially Stewie's ultimate there, Pursue the Weak was, and it comes up sooner than most people think when you're in the jungle, right? You walk around, hit a couple camps, you get the rage back up. So Pursue the Weak doesn't have as low of a cooldown as some might think with Mordred jungle. You know, you're moving around the map, you can use that pretty quickly, and it is a tool that I would want to use on most of my ganks. What better setup or, you know, finishing off potential is there than Pursue the Weak? And with how weak Void Pain was at that time, I like the investment of the ult. Also, Kuradal, who walked under the tower, if we could replay, it'd be a dope. If you can walk under the tower and just take a couple shots and then done. You know what I mean? Like, you eat the shots for Stewie, so Kuradal, you know, you get that health back immediately after through a chalice and heals through conviction. So it just made it so easy for Stewie to do what he wants to do. Ganking will never be sweeter on duo side when you have Stewie who can dive under tower super quickly to pursue the weak, and you pretty much eat the tower shots. If Kuradal is not eating them for you, then he heals you back up from them. Like, there is no tower that will keep you safe in this game from Stewie.
2 rounds of rocks already going towards Eternal Vanguard's way. Remikami even used the Anvil of Dawn just to make sure that Snatty and Stewie were a little bit too afraid to step forward to it. So once again, knowing how to even out this map and push themselves a lead. The more rocks that Tegvir gets, the harder those Piercing Moonlights are going to slam in these team fights. And the beacon, it's spawning in about 20 seconds, so these teams ready to brawl.
Devo's Gauntlet picked up for Axiom. I guess he realized that, hey, after a game like the last game, this might go long. So let's try and find some better strength in the late game. And what better late game item is there than Devourer's Gauntlet? You know, you just get stacks over and over and over, more and more stacks as the game goes on. It's a never-ending stacking item. So Devo's Gauntlet will just provide all this strength. A good pluck.
Good pluck forces out the beads onto Tegvir. Listen, Kuradal gets plucked. He goes on the horse. He's going to run at you and make you pay for it. So maybe not the guy you want to be putting for the rest of your team. Though Eternal Vanguard going to be the ones to plot themselves here. Pluck off the mark onto Kuradal means looking for a little bit more. Still on the beacon, though, and in fact going to secure it for themselves. The Order team, that's Eternal Vanguard, get themselves a ritual. Stewie ain't here, though. His sights are set over on the duo lane. Axiom has been called the target, pursuing the weak, looking after him. Purification beads used on out nice and early, but the damage is on the back end side of it. Stewie doesn't have enough with those slices. So now it's time for the re-engage. Voidbane is here looking for a pluck to get to them as well. Tegvir also on the wraparound. He has an ultimate at the ready. A pluck is good onto Stewie. He said that hacking, and now Tegvir picks him back up. Voidbane hits a pluck, kill the jungler, and now Eternal Vanguard gonna get themselves a nice little leg up here in the duo lane.
Just good response from EV. I think Axiom did everything correctly. You up, down the dash and the slow, and then once Pursue the Weak was used, beads that away. So now, you know, you got Stewie who's way out of position. Remikami's low too, but able to hit the stun and then walk away. It seemed like Stewie invested so much into trying to get that kill. Put himself out of position was the worst thing, and that gave Tegvir plenty of time to respond, walk over, and do what he wants to do. A well-placed pluck from Voidbane will secure that kill, and the ult use too, which was a little bit overzealous, but still, whatever secures the kill is what secures the kill. So EV finding a little bit of blood here in the early game. It's, again, a very slow, methodical game that's going to take a while to get online.
Seems to be gets on in, but the Suns are raining on down. But Kuradal was here hiding in the bush, and the stun, though, is off the mark. Axiom Speed is being chased on down, though. Kuradal grabs the kill up for his team, and listen, he tries to go for the 1v1, but there's just a sneaky Guan hiding in the bush.
1v1, more like 2v done. Axiom dead. That stinks. Well, you know, that's what happens when you don't have the wards. You know, a couple wards would have been pretty nice. And Voidbane was a little bit better about the wards, but had to move around. And, you know, all of a sudden Axiom's like, what's a ward? I'm a carry. That's not my job. You get a free one, Axiom. Come on, throw it down somewhere.
And this time his life is forfeit, but look at Stewie once again putting pressure over on this duo lane. The name of the game is to make sure that Axiom Speed does not have a fun time. The purple buff goes up for the Boo House, and now they're slowly finding these little things to push themselves ahead and get themselves a lead. And Stewie hears a happen on the other side of this wall. Might be in trouble here. Gonna have a slash, open the gates, forces out that Pursue the Weak. So Happen is safe for now, and it's an ultimate for ultimate trade, and through space and time, almost clips Happens like that.
Oh, ganking solo. Was that Tegvir able to barely secure a kill? Crazy. Okay, so Tegvir 3-0. That's the big thing to take away from that. Trade for trade as far as solos go, but Tegvir getting into the snowball position is just bad news because, again, another jungler that you don't want to take off. Not just Tegvir as a player, but Suku as a god who can feel pretty bad when put behind, but when they're in a good spot, you know, the Spear Deso is going to be very nice for early game damage, and just a straight up Doom Orb pickup. Tegvir had a lot of gold in pocket, so now we get Doom Orb. Extra mobility around the fight, so this whole lack of mobility thing is kind of deemed nigh existent. Tegvir is going to be very nice getting into these team fights. With the Conduit pickup too, every ability is just going to be slamming. So wherever Tegvir goes, you need to be careful. Even Slayer, you know, that portal, you know, if you don't use it at the right time, Piercing Moonlight's just going to catch right back up to you.
They are kind of having a sneaky, quiet game so far, and that's just kind of Giannis's like calling card, right? Guy just goes around the map and absolutely decimates any jungle farm that's gonna be around. This is a farming machine waiting to get a couple of items online, so he can just hit a sneaky through space and time and decimate someone's health bar. It's time for the fights to start a little bit around in the mid lane. Tegvir's been spotted on out. The Oracle's gonna be picked up by the rest of the team, so we're waiting to get started. Pursue the Weak. Just used to make sure we get out of there, but a pluck on in.
No.
Stewie, what you doing there, buddy? Aegis forced on out, lurking in the waters just to slow them on down. Tegvir now 4-0 on the Tsukiyumi. Be careful, because the more kills he gets, the stronger he becomes.
Yeah, I love that use of lurking in the waters there. It's almost like, hey, if you want to dash towards me and you want to make me champion, I will. But otherwise, I just want to keep giving kills to Tegvir. So Voidbane has been very non-selfish about that. I really do respect that. Even though you do get a bit of stacking stats, you get extra health for every chomp that you get, still, it's much better used in the hands of Tegvir than it is you. So very nice usage of ultimate from Void Pains. Pyromancer goes down. Happen secures that. An extra runic bomb to play with for Eternal Vanguard when they want to go on their next big siege, or maybe even Gold Fury. Their first one of the game could be a bit of a dice up because their secure potential isn't that high. We're definitely not using Thorol to do that. Piercing Moonlight doesn't do that. Maybe open the gates, but I'd rather save that for a team fight than Gold Fury. Lurking in the waters, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like all, not one huge ult that does so much damage to secure. Meanwhile, you're looking at Slayer's portal and you're like, oh no. That with through space and time will absolutely destroy a Gold Fury if you don't time it correctly. So Runic Bomb will give them a little bit of countermeasures for that.
Slayer does a lot of damage and waiting for him to come online. It's kind of Boohouse's calling card this game, right? Just gotta wait for this Giannis to be able to slam people on down to do some damage. And let's talk about damage on the Gold Fury. Stewie picks it up. Kuradal is here, and so is Slayer. It's fallen down, already down to about half K HP, and Eternal Vanguard don't seem to be all the wiser to it. No one is around, so Boohouse gonna pick up the first Gold Fury of the game.
That thing went quick. Dang. That was like, you barely had time to tell us it was happening, and then it was gone. That's crazy. Look at Stewie.
Stewie wraps onto Axiom Speed, who has the dive bomb to get back under the tower. Eternal Vanguard try to get aggressive on the right side of the map. It looks like they went for a red buff invade, but were unable to find it. A good little backstep from Kuradal, styling on the Sobek here in the mid lane to make sure they don't get plucked back to the rest of the team. And Boohouse, so far, 14 minutes in, have themselves, well, now, handedly, a single K gold lead, barely.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about yet. I think Boohouse have some time to really gather a lead. It looks good in a couple different places. Axiom gets pieced up here. Not expecting Stewie in the bush.
Hiding in the bush once again. Purification beads forced on out, and Stewie has the wrap around, but it's not good this time. Void Pain is here to try and save his life. Through space and time means Stewie has a get out of jail free card. Lurking in the waters was used, but not soon enough. We go for an Axiom. We don't find it, but hey, we get out.
Ritual Sight coming up in a couple minutes here, a minute and a half to be exact. But the Queen Naga is up, and that is a big objective that both teams want a piece of. Last game, Boohouse ended up getting one, and while they might have lost a couple fights after getting it, it most certainly benefited them in the late game when that percentage strength and intelligence boost means the absolute most. It also means a lot when you have hybrid scalers on your team. I'm mainly looking at Segvir right now. Tsukiyomi benefits off both strength and intelligence, so having a boost of both would be pretty nice for somebody who benefits from both. On the other side, not as many. You've got Mordred who gets quite a bit, sure. Guan Yu to an extent, sure, but mainly Tegdir would love this Queen Naga. Let's see what they're going to go for. Probably the Ritual Sight first to at least make sure they get some pushers pressured onto Boohouse, and then we go for a Queen Naga afterwards.
Well, instead of going for the beacon, it seems they actually wrap around to this Pyromancer. That's the safer call. Get ourselves a bomb so it's easier to secure. Like you mentioned, they don't have a lot of that in tow. And in fact, that's where their eyes are gonna be raining on down here. Happen though, forced down on a low. Ultimate's used on him, so he's gonna be careful. Plug back in, forces the beads onto Slayer. And Void Pain's getting active here in the mid lane. Tegvir gets set into a portal, takes a dome, hit on the dome, a lot of damage in turn. And so far, Eternal Vanguard just kind of got to back off. Boohouse just do a little bit too much damage.
Yeah, they're in a good spot right now build-wise where you're going to be seeing a lot of early damage from Slayer especially. Book of Thoth stacked up already, and World Stone is going to provide extra cooldowns for ult specifically, along with some flat penetration too. So World Stone's a nice pickup. Void Pain might be ganked here.
Void Pain's being looked upon. Happen has it through the gates to try and get it out of the fight, but look at Stewie. Finds him over the wall, pursued the weak, straight into a shell though, so Happen is A-okay for now. Void Pain looking in the waters, trying to find a kill. Ramakami's up in the sky, but Kuradal found himself a Happen, and Ramakami's gonna make him pay for it. Aegis forced on out. This Guan Yu safe for now and has heals for days, avoiding as many abilities as he can. A wall hits him. Tegvir finds a Stewie, and Axiom takes down Kuradal, so Boohouse are down 2 members. We paid for Happen's life, but we got a ritual.
Yeah, I feel like Kurdal would have had a much better time helping the team instead of diving under tower to kill happen, because then he ends up just taking the fall too. But rather, Snatty could be back at full health right now. Still would have been low on mana, but still you could have had health there. You could have had a team to show presence at this Queen Naga, which is getting burned and taken down. Ult's off the mark, so it goes to Eternal Vanguard, which Tagveer very much so likes. Boo House shouldn't. And I think just a bit of a different investment of your time, Kurdal would have been pretty good for that objective specifically. But the game's far from over. Very, very much so far from over. We've got a lot more Gold Furies to look at, Pyromancers to be taken, and the Fire Giant, which is just now spawning for the first time here in a moment. This is still a lot more game to be had, but Eternal Vanguard starting off in a pretty good way. Even though they're down on gold, technically, they're going for cheaper items, so that benefits to a pretty good amount. You can see the Shell of Rebuke and the purification beads. I guess that's the talisman of purification invested for Void Pain, which is extra stats, extra bit of CDR, extra protections, and it also boosts up the rest of your items. Extra health from Gauntlet of Thieves. I think there's a lot to love about this build from Void Pain, which is pretty cheap, but also efficient.
Likes playing for the team here, especially with that team shell, team beads happen. Trying to get something started for his team in the duo lane. Forces out Mario Bros airstrike, but Stewie daring them to step forward. He's around that does a lot of damage, and look at his build, Mort. Going for more of this kind of defensive jungler style. He's still doing damage, but certainly takes a lot more than he normally would.
Definitely so. You're not as tanky, right? Glad Shield doesn't do too much. Wait, what does much?
Oh, Snatty takes a lot of damage, forces out the Shell of Rebuke, and a double stun means he might be playing this one well, but a good wall forces out that silence, and Remikami picks up a Snatty. But look at Slayer here over the wall, through space and time, not enough to kill, and he thought it would be. Slayer uses the beads and falls down as well. Remikami picks up 2.
Damage check didn't work out. That stings. Very close though. Yeah, down to like what, 50 health? Very, very close call for Remikami, but damage was not there. And that's got to be frustrating, because if I'm Slayer, I'm thinking, oh, I can run that. I've got flat pin, right? I've got a pretty good amount of it too from World Stone and Spiridesso. Spiridesso provides a lot of intelligence. The World Stone provides a good amount too. And when you look at Remikami's build, he has the Genjis, which that's 50 magic procs. That hurts a little bit, but with all that flat pin, Draconic not stacked up yet, I can surely make this kill happen. No, it didn't work out. So just a small bit of a numbers check. And granted, I think what might have helped Slayer in that too would have been spending the gold that he had. I don't know if you noticed, he went right back to base and bought a soul gem right off the shelf. No need to look at the price tag. So that goal would have been pretty nice when it came to a kill like that.
Well, Slayer falls on down. Eternal Vanguard pick themselves up a Pyromancer. So now, evening out once again. Listen, if game number 1 didn't show you how even these two teams were, maybe game number 2 will. Despite the kills being in Eternal Vanguard's favor, the gold lead still favoring Boo House there, right? So these two teams pretty much neck and neck at this point, as we see Kuradal run it on down to Axiom speed here. But Tagveer and are on their way. Suns already raining on down. Mario Bro under the safety of his tier 1 tower. Now it's Tagveer and Void Pain on the wraparound, daring them to step forward. Shows his face here, has the piercing moonlight, but not too much damage on the back end side of it. Boo House safe under this tier 1 tower for now.
Safe for now, but ult out from Kuradal. Here comes Void Pain.
Kuradal forces out the beats on Axiom speed, but Void Pain plucks the Guan Yu away from his carry, and Happen has been spotted on out. He's not moving. Stewie, what are you doing? Let's go ahead and pause the game, because it likes Happen might have been a little bit in a different dimension there this game. So we're going to take a pause and breathe here a little bit. Almost a good aggression from a Boo House over in the duo lane, though.
Yeah, I like the go button there from Kuradal. I like the investment of his ultimate there. Let's get on the horse. Let's go find a stun. The rest of the team is on the way. We can surely set something up. I think there's a world where Boo House win this fight on a pretty good stance, because look at how everybody from Boo House is positioned right now. You've got Stewie with ultimate in pocket, ready to go, and that can either heart slash or pursue the weak somebody down to where, you're not doing much when we unpause. This is a good sandwich tactic for Boo House to just kind of collapse onto Eternal Vanguard. And with low health bars across the board, there's not much they can do in response. Ultimate's online. Let's see if it helps them at all.
You press the unpause button and Happen just lands back down. He's back into reality here. So the rest of Eternal Vanguard, be careful because Boo House are sniffing it out. They let you out this time. But next up on the chopping block is going to be that Gold Fury. 3 members hitting it. And it went pretty fast the first time around. But this time, Eternal Vanguard all the more aware of it. So not going to let it go down for free. Void Pain steps forward, has some damage, and that Ritual as well. So now, Boo House just have to take a step back. Just enough face from Eternal Vanguard to make him drop that Gold Fury.
Void Pain off of Aura and a Sickening Strike alone pushes them off Gold Fury. W Aura from Void Pain. And yeah, I'm sure Tegveer being there too definitely scared him off a little bit as well. Piercing Moonlight is starting to very much so hurt at this stage with Do More, but now a Polynomicon picked up for Tegveer, which is kind of nice because he does have those infused strikes to work off of. The Shengetsu and Magnetsu strikes will be able to hurt even more so from damage too. You know, you've got a range instead of just needing melee all the time. Tegveer's going to have a pretty nice cycle of damage through that. It's not just about one-shotting somebody with one ability, but just kind of ticking away at health bars harder than some might expect.
Vanguard, I just take a look at relics over here. Boo House are not respecting EVs like CC at all. 4 pairs of Aegises across the board, so if any of these big CC abilities open the gates, Remikami, if that Anvil of Dawn hits anybody, it's going to be very disruptive for the team, especially, I don't see a Team Beads in sight. Maybe Kurodal picks it up soon, but a little bit weaker here for the Boo House as if these CC ultimates hit.
Going back to a little more itemization talk. We'll look at Axiom building up this Demonic Blade. You've got the Rip Talon down there too, Titan's Bane, so bit of extra basic attack damage. The crits will help out quite a bit there too. And Titan's Bane to make sure that the tanks will fall. My eyes are on Snatty and Kurodal, who've been tanking a lot of these fights. Oh my god.
Slayer falls down to Void Pain. He picks that one up, and the Horsey is used just to make sure he doesn't get plucked back into the hungry arms of Eternal Vanguard. They're here in the mid lane, though, and they're getting started a little bit earlier than last game. The mid-tier 1 falls on down. Mario Bro and Snatty pushing down their own lanes respectively, but when no one else here, the rest of Eternal Vanguard walk towards the Gold Fury and pick it up.
Snatty and Mario Bro both too busy split pushing, so Eternal Vanguard had the man advantage in the mid lane, and now the Ancient Gold Fury too, where nobody is there even thinking about stealing it away, but Boo House also don't have the resources to split the map. Sure, they get a Pyromancer, but I would hardly call that a consolation prize. Remikami might get pieced up here.
He gets stoned on out. Got able to get into the sky, but pulled it back in is Kurodal. But they're safe for now. Remikami has the Anvil of Dawn to get out of there, so they come up with a Gold Fury, and Boo House couldn't even do the Pyromancer. So now Eternal Vanguard might be the ones to pick that one up, and in fact they are. Axiom Speed is the first one here, but be careful. There's a Snatty hiding in the bushes. That's a real problem. Might need to get an Exterminator on that one. But it doesn't matter because the rest of Eternal Vanguard are not afraid. And they're still looking at this Pyromancer, trying to get themselves another fight. Suns running on down, caught them on out. Snatty taking a ton of damage in the back. Axiom Speed doing a lot. Happen secures the Pyromancer, and Snatty falls on down to Tegveer, who wrapped around. Piercing Moonlight does some good damage in the back. Dive Bomb trying to get away. Air Strike is Mario Bro, and a nice portal saves him, but a blink over the wall means Void Pain not going to chase him out too much longer. Stewie going to send one into the sky. He found himself on Happen, pursuing the weak, lands on down, but Open the Gates is up, puts 2, flip-flop around. Kurodal survives. Happen does not. Mario Bro picks him back up, and now look at Slayer in the back line. Absolutely puts a hairline onto Axiom Speed, whose heart rate monitor is beeping. He's looking for more of this assassin using the beads. Can he get the kill? Void Pain falls on down, and Slayer has got the moves. The wall was good to slay him on back, but can we get the kill? The stun's good, and the crit's even better. Slayer found himself a Void Pain, but falls on down for it.
Oh my goodness. What is it? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Slayer moving in and out of that fight was electric to watch. That's what Giannis can bring, man. That's the power of the Giannis. You wonder why he's been getting banned away. That guy's a 1-3. He's not even strong right now. This is a weak spot for Giannis. And Eternal Vanguard still are so afraid of what Slayer can do, like a deer in headlights, you know? That is just aura alone. But the team fight, the whole thing is starting to come together for Boo House. We talked about, early on in this game, they have a really nice team comp when it comes to team fights. And now that we're getting to that phase, EFG isn't in the game yet, but Fire Giants would still be pretty nice. Gold Furies to fight over. Boo House now have a comp that when they collectively get together and move as 5, that team looks scary. We haven't seen a lot of that yet because we've still seen Snatty and Mario Bro both split pushing a pretty fair amount, trying to farm up and get to late game builds, but Eternal Vanguard want to run the mid game. They're going for FG.
The first one's here on the Fire Giant, but it looks like they're looking for the fight on the back end side of it. Stewie opens the doors right into Axiom Speed's face, who drops the Suns as well, and the rest of the teams turn around upon him. Open the gates has happened, but he doesn't find too much for it. And now Stewie able to get out of the fight nice and easy, but not too nice, because look at Tegveer. Piercing Moonlight is good for the damage. We dash on in. Remakami finds you. Tegveer hits the auto, and the damage is good. Void Pain's under the tower, but so is Remakami. The hammer is good, and Kuradal is running you down. Can we pop it? Yes, you can. Snatty, Circle of Protections, picks up a Remakami, but can you get out with your life? Void Pain puts a Kuradal in the best of the backline, and Tegveer trying to stay alive. He can't do it because Mario Bro hits those autos every day of the week, and the rest of the Boo House are running it down. Airstrike on in. Can we hit the autos onto Happen, who uses the Aegis? Yes, we can. Slayer finds one in the backline, and Void Pain is the only one left alive. 4 members of Boo House running him down. He's been collapsed. Pincer maneuver. That's a double kill for Slayer.
From 0-3 to 3-3. Pretty nice for Slayer. Hey, there is a lot to talk about in that team fight. I was a little skeptical of the Polynomicon earlier from Tegveer. Those Polyprocs are pretty freaking nasty, dude. Same thing with Slayer, who's getting online, and y'all wonder where Mario's been for the past 28 minutes. He's online. He is into the game, and he is starting to climb the damage charts from that fight alone. He was very low before that, but Mario Bro is starting to show up in a really big way, and that's going to grant them a Fire Giant. Now on top of the Pyromancer, taking that away too. A Runic Bomb to help out their next siege. So everything is on the up and up for Boo House. This team comp is really starting to show its colors and how Eternal Vanguard don't have a lot of reaction to it. We're investing Piercing Moonlight into kills that didn't even happen. Remakami is saving his ult as a panic button. And when it does count as an engage, it doesn't do very much. His EV comp is starting to slowly fall apart when they can't find picks against a team who's grouped as 5 consistently.
Galers feel pretty strong here. Boo House wrapping themselves around to the Ancient Gold Fury, and listen, 29 minutes in, we have ourselves almost a 6k gold lead. Why not make it 7? And also weaken some towers and a bird right alongside it. But look at Slayer. He's been spotted out on the right side of the map. He has that through space and time, but the rest of Eternal Vanguard are there and collapsing in upon him. They find him. Axiom Speed takes out the robot.
Well, 1 man down. Slayer a little too out of position. Can we call that a distraction tactic? I guess if they get this tier 2, we can. And then it's worth it at the end of the day, right? Tier 2 down, and now looking at this bird, but the mid lane bird is weakened. Maybe Eternal Vanguard go for that instead. That'd be a much easier siege, and with Axiom Speed a little bit late on the back, no, they're going to go for the left bird.
Going on here, Remakami has the stun, which forces the airstrike from Mario Bro. Boo House trying to beat down the bird, but the rest of Eternal Vanguard are on the way. Open the gates. Remakami's landing on down, and we pulled them back on through here. Remakami, you're in no man's land, though, because Kuradal on the horse, he is chasing you down. We got the wind sprite over the wall, but Void Pain puts a Snatty in the face of Happen, who puts a lot of damage in turn. Purification beads forcing out to Tegveer, and they pursue the weak from over the wall. Happen gets sent into the sky, forced out into an Aegis, and Remakami is trying his best to get some damage on the back end side of it, but we stepped up too far forward. Aegis forced, but Stewie survives. Void Pain has a good pluck for the rest of the side on Boo House. No one else is falling, but those health bars, Mort, they're looking really low.
But Slayer walking up mid lane, and with a couple portals, he could be there a lot faster than some might think. He's already starting to fly through them, and Axiom getting good damage off. The defense is successful so far for Eternal Vanguard, but with Slayer showing up, maybe putting the minions down mid lane, we can go for some prio there. Good pluck!
but the dagger was used, so we're all the way back up to full HP. Mario Bro, though, can't say the same. Already flattened. Axiom Speed finds the kill, and Kuradal is riding the horsey, trying to get out. Remakami takes the portal, hits the wall, and now Snatty is taking a bunch of damage in tow. The Boo House, they're falling apart. Eternal Vanguard are coming back up, but Stewie, with a Pursue the Weak, puts 2 in the sky. Slayer flies back around, flattens 2, but Happen finds their first kill of the game, and Kuradal is next to fall, gets plucked back into the tower. Slayer just trying to get some damage on the back end side of it. We have the through space and time, but it's off the mark. Happen survives, open the gates, also not gonna find too much purchase here. Its members dying all the way across, but Eternal Vanguard are coming up. Stun onto Slayer. He's got to be careful here as the pluck is off the mark. It hit a Harpy, and Slayer's out of there.
Very nice move from Slayer there, just moving all across the Titan room. Eternal Vanguard can't lock him down to even out the numbers game. But at the end of the day, the most important thing, the siege was not successful. The defense was good for Eternal Vanguard. They didn't lose a single bird throughout that entire time. Surely they lost a tier 2 that was weakened, but that was going to happen at some point anyways. I think defending a bird is the most important thing that EV could have done there. Surely they lost Axiom, yes, but taking down 2 and saving every bird, I think that's a dub for Eternal Vanguard in the long, grand scheme of things. Now they can walk up to this Pyromancer if they want to, but the numbers game favors them. But I don't think they're so confident at all. Not a lot of confidence, especially after barely defending the throne room like that. Yeah, it was successful, but it was not easy. And it was a couple different faults from Boo House, how their engage didn't go super successfully. Not having Slayer there from the get-go was kind of a very big hamper on why they didn't get the bird at the end of the entire thing. Slayer showing up at the end there was nice, but you can only do so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Boo House are the first ones to pick up this Pyromancer. Kuradal gets plucked back on in, but he's fine for now. That Guan Yu tanky has a lot of healing, so he's not in too much trouble. The back end side of it, though, Happen is in trouble, gets clipped by through space and time, and Stewie, the snake that he is, wrapping around, trying to find a Tegveer, forces out the beads, and now the piercing moonlight on the back end side of it. Mario Bro flattens Tegveer, and the rest of the Boo House are on the way. Void Pain sacrifices Kuradal, eats him up, and is trying to save his team. Mario Bro gets annihilated by an Axiom Speed in the back line. Here comes the damage from Eternal Vanguard, because they got to be careful. Slayer on the back end, unstable Vortex absolutely demolishes Speed, and now Boo House are the ones on the up and up in this fight. It's all over the place. Remakami into the sky, looking for a place to land off the mark and open the gates. It's just going to be used to make sure Snatty gets away from the rest of our team. Slayer, though, still full HP. Void Pain has to use that pluck to get on out of there, and the rest of Eternal Vanguard, they have to run back home.
Really, the biggest issue that's happening right now, Void Pain needs to, instead of plucking people from Boo House towards his team, he needs to save the pluck for Boo House members that want to run at Eternal Vanguard as a defensive mechanism. But Void Pain didn't get the memo yet. You know, there's times where you use it offensively and times where you use it defensively. Now is a time to save this peel tool for something greater. Check out Slayer positioning like a rat. Oh!
A rat who takes out Happen. You step into the portal and you meet the fate of the Giannis, who has the through space and time. Look at this little sneaky rat. Gets a kill, has the through space and time to get out of there. Pretty much comes up for it for free, and now Happen is off the board for another 45 seconds.
Oh my God, and the ritual side is up. Boo House will have the man advantage there. Happen being down is bad news for EV. Pyromancer falls. This EFG looks siegeable. Remakami could get caught out here, but does have an ult to use if things get hairy.
Void Pain here is to knock some people up and around to make sure Remakami can get out of there this time. But all the meanwhile, Boo House say, hey, Happens off the board. Remakami had to go back to base. Let's pick up this Enhanced Fire Giant. Only Axiom Speed, Void Pain, and Tegveer are here. The Enhanced Fire Giant, though, falling down pretty slowly, but look at Assassin Slayer on the case, wrapping around. It, too, in the portal, forces out the beads, and they have to dive bomb on out of there. Slayer making this Giannis look good here. All the meanwhile, the Enhanced Fire Giant is still being looked upon. Into the waters goes Void Pain, but Stewie is pursuing the weak in the back line, hitting some damage, trying to put them up big. Slayer is here. Remakami is in the sky, and he's looking, trying to lock down this robot. He's unable to do this time because Axiom Speed has already fallen on down. around. Stewie has the moves to get out this time. The stuns from Snatty is good, but open the gates is used, and Void Pain is out of there this time. Tegvir falls on down to Mario Bro, but Void Pain trying his best to survive. This sneaky Croc has the Wind Sprite and a blink, but Kuradal still chasing him down with all he's got. A pluck is going to be good to get him out of this one, but Slayer is here on the wraparound. Look at that rat coming in from the right side of the jungle, picks up a crocodile, and 4 members of the Boo House are on the Phoenix.
Oh no, and with Remakami and Happen, the only 2 left with no ultimate abilities left to defend this bird. Can they do so? Minions pouring in, and down goes the middle bird. Could this be an endgame situation? Remakami still has damage to offer. I don't think it's game over yet, but it's close. Happen gets picked off. This is surely game over now.
And falls on down. Remakami is the only one left alive, and his beads are already forced. Mario Bro takes a bunch of damage in turn, but Kuradal, he has the healings, and the knock-up is good. Remakami falls on down, and Boo House win the set in 2.
Wow. Oh my God. Slayer just kind of showed up out of nowhere, didn't he? The damage from Giannis was just the saving grace for the entire game there, really. Just when they needed a mid laner, Boo House had Slayer show up and start deleting people. Mages are in a pretty sweet spot right about now, aren't they? At least this Giannis one is, because that was wild what he was doing to health bars. Not even just the squishies either. Void Pain got caught by a stray portal near the EFG there, and he's like, well, there goes half my health bar. How am I supposed to tank from here? It's just wild what happened in that game. Shout out to Slayer. While the player damage charts might have favored Snatty there, but still, I think that was a huge shout to him, and Mario Bro too, who kind of emerged out of the trenches once we started rotating around the map. Mario Bro coming online definitely helped a bit too.
These 2 carries did so much damage, especially Sneaky Snake Slayer. How many times did we go, oh, Void Pain is out, we have everyone chasing him, but he's like dashing, blinking out, and then just away around from the corner is, boo, I'm here. It's called Boo House for a reason, gives you a jump scare, puts Void Pain in the grave. And listen, Boo House, they look great. They win this set in 2, and quite convincingly at that.
Convincingly, to say the least. Yeah, and I think that it was a little bit rockier in game 1, but I think that's because of things that happen in picks and bans. I think they learned from their mistake. They said, we didn't really have a way to start a fight in game 1. Let's come up with like 3 different ways to start a fight, and the Giannis portals being one of them, slithering into the back line and just killing somebody immediately. That's one way to do it. The Mordred ults were on point. The Guan Yu ults caught me off guard. I was a little surprised there too. I didn't expect that to be as much of an engage tool, more so than a panic button. But a couple of good engages from Kurandal too really put this Boo House team together. I expect them to do big things going into the season.
This team already looks great, and this was week number 1, Morty, so Eternal Vanguard also didn't look too bad themselves. Tegvir had a great game on that Tsukayumi. These teams still coming together, still figuring out their little quirks, trying to figure out what's working. And don't forget, Eternal Vanguard, they had a sub today. Void Pain not normally on their roster, so even despite losing this set, they still can walk away feeling pretty good about themselves.
I'd say so too. It's almost a shame to say that this is all we've got for today, because I had a lot of fun. It's always a fun time casting with you, Boom, but it just, in general, the games feel good. This patch is fun to watch. Like, this is Smite 2. We're back, baby.
Smite 2, it's back, and so is Penetration. So much damage being done, and health bars are gone, and, well, so are we. That's all we got for you today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Mort, for joining me today, and thank you, Nova, for being our eyes in the sky this time. We'll catch you guys in the next set. Bye-bye!
I've been underestimated, but I survived and became strong.